This is Jan76, aka Jan Sports. Can everybody hear me? If anybody's in the chat, can anybody hear me? Make sure that's everything good to go. All right. All right, Juan. All right, so we got the national championship. We got the national championship next week. And I know you guys can't wait for the national championship. It is going to be a very, very, very amazing game. Hopefully. There's a lot of drama leading on to this way. Of course, with Steve Sarkisian, Alabama offensive coordinator, taking the job to become the Texas Longhorns head coach, shocked the crap out of me, shocked pretty much everybody else. Um, and it's kind of ironic if you're an Alabama fan because this is the sixth time that a coordinator actually got a head coaching job, or at least the announcement was made literally right before the national championship. So this is the sixth time that has happened to Alabama. So, of course, a lot of Alabama fans are skeptical about Steve Sarkisian, about his play calling. You're going to have to find out and see. But yeah, a lot of Alabama fans, if Alabama loses this game, let's say they lose the way they kind of did against Clemson, right? Because Mike Losley took the Maryland job, and he arguably had his worst coaching performance. He got severely outcoached by Brent Venables. After that, he was gone, went to Maryland. If he has another performance like what Alabama did in 2018, there's gonna be a lot of backlash going to Steve Sarkisian. So something that they're skeptical about. Now, for me, I won't make an excuse. If Alabama gets their ass kicked by Ohio State, they just get their ass kicked by Ohio State. It is what it is. At the end of the day, the players have to perform the plays. But I'm just warning Ohio State fans that be prepared if we start to kind of rage out a little bit if we don't, put on our best offensive performance. But just talking about this game real quick, guys. I mean, this is going to be one hell of a football game. Ohio State, one of the best teams in the nation. They got a Heisman Trophy contender. Yeah, I feel you, Aaron. I feel you, dog. It's just, it's crazy, man. It's it's crazy. Quarterback Justin Fields, Heisman Trophy contender, likely top 2 overall pick, if not the number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft. Um, they got a great running game with Trey Sermon, a great physical offensive line, a phenomenal defense. They got really, really young and experienced coordinators. Ohio State they're here to stay, and what they did to Clemson, they kicked their ass. I was one of those people that just went for Clemson. I thought with all the experience, with all the players that came back from last year's team that beat Ohio State, I felt like Clemson was going to show up and they were going to win. And that just didn't happen. Ohio State outplayed them. And it was shocking how dominant they were especially on the defensive side of the ball. Ohio State was extremely physical against Clemson on the defensive side of the ball. One of the most shocking parts about that, Clemson's offensive line, the physicality, they lacked physicality. And Ohio State with I'm just gonna call him Tommy because I'm gonna butcher the last name. And those, I mean, they're not the biggest guys in the world, but they're extremely athletic. They're extremely quick, and they just exerted a type of physicality that we just haven't seen really Ohio State all day. Yeah, I mean, Justin Fields is definitely in the argument. Justin Fields is definitely in the argument for top two overall. In the Justin Fields was out. I mean, listen, Justin Fields. Everyone kept saying Justin Fields was having a bad season. Justin Fields was still completing over 70% of his passes. I mean, if a quarterback is having a bad year after completing 70% of his passes, I don't know. I don't know what the hell to kind of tell you. Not to mention that again, he's played only like what 5 regular season games. Like the fact that you play one game and then the next minute and then the next game you're just, I mean, you have to play like 2 or 3 weeks later. That kind of just, you're trying to establish the chemistry. You're trying to establish like new concepts, new schematics. I mean, that happens every year. That Justin Fields and this Ohio State football team kind of had to work with that with COVID, by the way, because Ohio State had 23 players that had COVID. So you had to work with all these different scenarios, all these different type of situations. And the fact of the matter is that the media is out here claiming that Justin Fields is not a top 2 overall quarterback. I mean, just hearing that was like, why? It just doesn't make any sense to me, especially what he did his junior year. And again, if a down year is Justin Fields nearly completing 80% of his passes, I don't know what the hell we're doing. I seriously don't know what the hell we're doing then. But most interesting key matchups I'm extremely interested to look at is Ohio State's defensive line versus Alabama's offensive line. Of course, you can say the exact same thing with Ohio State's offensive line with Alabama's defensive line, but this is, in my opinion, these are two of the best units probably in all college football going against each other. Now, obviously, Ohio State doesn't have the Chase Young, Nick Bosa type of pass rusher, but they got a lot of very underrated guys on that defensive line. And you're going against an Alabama offensive line that, even without Landon Dickerson, is still the most dangerous, if not the best offensive line in all of college football. That is defensive unit going against an elite offensive unit, and whoever wins that matchup could very well win the game. Because Alabama's defensive line, even though they're very talented with Christian Barmore, and they have guys like William Anderson, who led the SEC in sacks, and Christopher Allen, they're not as good as Ohio State's defensive front. They're just not. And that is something that I do believe that is a little bit concerning. It is the front. It's the front of Alabama. And what Alabama offense and this offensive line has to kind of carry this defense to winning it, because a lot of people are expecting this to be a shootout. So that's one of the things that I'm honestly interested in seeing is Alabama's offensive line, and if they can hold up and still be as dominant as we've normally seen. What's going on, Amy? What's going on, Aaron? What's going on, everybody that just joined the chat? Appreciate you guys for stopping in. Yeah, that's actually a pretty good comparison right there, man. Deshaun Watson, man, just everything that even now, Deshaun Watson had no players, literally had no help, and what he was able to do with the Texans that entire season is remarkable. Yeah, Justin Fields, man, just he won't quit at a very very high level, showed toughness, showed composure, and he showed why he was a top 2 overall pick. Yeah, Clemson has a bunch of talent, and again, what was so shocking was the fact that Clemson had all that experience. Clemson had all the experience in the world, and the fact that Alabama, the fact that Clemson wasn't really able to kind of like utilize that experience and use that for their advantage and to try and to go on the football field and see what we normally been seeing, and that's Clemson dominating. I mean, Clemson was outplayed, outcoached, and I don't know. I mean, you got people accusing, well, Brent Venables didn't steal the signs, like Brent Venables didn't get the signs and stuff like that. I don't know what the issue is. I mean, it's just it's one of those issues that Ohio State just came better prepared and maybe use that motivation. Maybe they just use that loss from last year as motivation in order to get this program to dominate Clemson, because they didn't just beat them, they destroyed them, they dominated them, even worse than what LSU did to Clemson last year. Probably one of the worst losses I think I've ever seen Clemson take, maybe since 2017 when Alabama played against Clemson. Yeah, because that's a good point. That's a good point, Hayes. Justin Fields has, I don't know the extent of his injury, but he is very much the run game. One of the things that gave Alabama trouble, at least for last week, was Ian Book using his legs. Ian Book had 55 yards rushing, and if he didn't take those sacks, he probably would have had around 70 to maybe 80 yards rushing. So the fact that those legs are now going to be are now going to be taken away. I mean, he's still going to be scrambling. He's still very loose in the pocket. He's still going to be doing his thing. But as far as taking off a lot, that's just not going to happen. He's not going to happen. And if anybody noticed, as soon as he was hurt, every time he tried to take off, he would just slide right away because he didn't want to assert that punishment. He did not want to take any more punishment. You don't want to risk the injury is for Justin Fields, but that's a really, really good point. What makes Justin Fields a little bit more special is his legs. And when you take away his legs and just make him a pocket passer, obviously we've seen Justin Fields dominate Clemson in the pocket, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if Nick Saban, Pete Golding, they have a game plan to try to really make Justin Fields more really uncomfortable in the pocket. Northwestern made him uncomfortable in the pocket. We see Indiana make him uncomfortable in the pocket. Taking one of those legs is just that. Yeah, Jalen Waddle. For anyone who doesn't know, Jalen Waddle was practicing. First time he's been practicing, literally since of course, since the that significant foot injury he had. Jalen Waddle, man, is I mean, what can you say? He's the most electric player in all of college football, man. He's a phenomenal route runner, great speed, great elusiveness, great, arguably the best receiver on the team. And I love Devontae Smith, but what Jalen Waddle provides as far as how he stretches defenses, how he affects defenses with his verticality, what he can do as a deep threat, it makes Alabama's passing attack unstoppable. You got John Mechie, who you can use underneath. You can use Devontae Smith in a multitude of different ways, but Jalen Waddle, just his presence on the football field, it scares defenses to death. Because if you leave him on an island, Jalen Waddle's gone covering him. If Jalen Waddle plays, how healthy is he going to be? Because this is his first week just practicing. Is he going to retain that same speed before the injury? Is he going to slow down a little bit, and how much will he slow down? I think that's really one of the biggest questions. But I do believe that they're practicing him. I think they're probably going to give him maybe a couple days, maybe 3 days to kind of see where he's at. And if he's not feeling comfortable, if they feel like he's not ready, he's probably not going to play. But I will say this, just the fact that they made that announcement that he is practicing, Ohio State, it's now a different game plan. It's now they now got to take a look at some previous tape, the Missouri tape, compared to just the latest games now, because now just Jalen Waddle's presence alone, or just the threat that Jalen Waddle might play in this game, it's definitely it can definitely cause some havoc there. I hope so. I hope so, Zebros. I hope so. I would love Jalen Waddle to play. I would love Jalen Waddle to play if he's ready. Of course, he is coming off of a significant injury. He has millions. I would love for him to play, though. I think just his presence on the field, and Chris actually makes a great point here, just his presence on the football field is, and just using him as a decoy, it 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 it, it makes Alabama's offense just that much better. Even when Jalen Waddle is just, even if he's out there and they use him as a decoy, it just makes Alabama's offense a little bit more better than what it actually is because of the threat that he can go deep, the threat, his vertical presence, the fact that he can go deep and he can just stretch and he can just stretch down the field. It makes Alabama's offense, because that advantage. It just makes life easier if Jalen Waddle is on the football field, even if you use him as a decoy. Oh yeah, they're definitely gonna. These tight ends are, Ruckert and I forgot the other guy's name is, but yeah, the fact that Ohio State ran two tight end sets, and well, they didn't run it the entire game, but the fact that they actually used those tight end sets and they actually imposed that to Clemson, it's gonna get Alabama's attention, because one thing that they've struggled with is the tight end position. Now, people will look at the Florida game and they'll take a look at the Florida game and they'll take a look at the Ole Miss game, because people forget the Ole Miss game. Kenny Yeboah shredded Alabama's defense. Whether if it was a safety on him, whether if it was a linebacker on him, Kenny Yeboah from Ole Miss shredded him. And all they did was just stretch. He just ran go routes. They made him running up the seam. They sent him on. They could not handle Kenny Yeboah. Kyle Pitts was the same exact situation. No matter what type of now of course Kyle Pitts is the best tight end in all of college football, and he's a generational prospect. But the Brian Branch, Malachi Moore, these are not bad safeties now. Like, of course, you look at the last couple of games, and of course, Brian Branch and Malachi Moore, those guys have been targeted a lot. But these are really good football players with a ton of upside, but they're not ready yet to kind of challenge these Kyle Pitts, these Kenny Yeboah type of players. Now, does, Ohio, however, are they big enough? Are they a big enough threat compared to those guys I just mentioned? They're going to use, now they're big, they're physical. They're going to use them a lot in the red zone, and as far as trying to pick up and move the chains on uh, those those potential short intermediate type of throws. I think they can definitely use these tight ends in those type of situations. I think whoever Brian Branch is matched on, or whoever Malachi Moore, because Malachi Moore didn't play last week because he was injured. But if they get those young safeties, or even our tight ends like Christian Harris or Dylan Moses, who Dylan Moses, by the way, is hurt. That's something that we all question about, was, is Dylan Moses healthy the entire season, because he just didn't look right? It's confirmed that he was hurt the entire season, and he still hasn't even recorded. I do believe that those tight ends are definitely going to be a problem. They're definitely going to be a problem. I think the question is that how effective are they going to be? How effective, in the slot are they going to be? Or even if they are, I don't think they're going to match them out wide. If they get matched out wide against Sertan or Job, that's not that much of a problem. The slot is the problem. That's the problem. Is if you match them up in the slot, and you match them up against Brian Branch or Malachi Moore, or Daniel Wright or Christian Harris or Dylan Moses, how big of a threat, can Alabama's defense, can they defend against that? Because Ohio State shredded. Yeah, and again, Aaron, I mean, Notre Dame has a really good tight end in that Meyer kid, right? Meyer is a really good tight end. He didn't do that much. He didn't do that much. We gave Notre Dame's tight ends a lot more cushion. And I think the reason why we did that is because I think we just respect, we wanted to respect those guys. Those are their best route runners. Those are their best receivers. And we gave them a lot of respect by pretty much giving them a lot of cushion. Now, are we going to be aggressive? Are we going? We gave Notre Dame cushion. We let these 2-3 yard routes establish, and then it was just pretty much run after the catch. Ohio State's tight ends are exactly the same exact way, like Notre Dame's tight ends are built. These are guys that are red zone threats. These are guys that you can use on short intermediate routes. They'll catch the ball, and it's more run after the catch. They're really, really good blocking tight ends used in the run game with Trey Sermon. Uh, so, you know, are they going to be used the same exact way? Or again, because this is the first time that Ohio State's tight ends were properly utilized the correct way. Is there more that we haven't seen? Right? Are these guys legit Kenny Yeboah type of realm? That's something that we got to find out. I appreciate that, Adam. Thank you so much for tuning in, man. Yeah, we listen. We barely got out with our lives against Kyle Pitts, man. I mean, we barely got out our lives with Kyle Pitts. We had no answer for him. We had no answer for him. We had no answer at all to Kyle Pitts. And I will say this is that I am so glad that we got from going his right, going against him and seeing his route running ability and how he's pretty much cooking dudes left and right. No matter what type of coverage you played against him, you just couldn't cover him. I think that experience, taking that ass whooping, honestly, I think might help Alabama. But that's just one of the areas. It's the tight end position. You got to worry about those outside receivers that Ohio State has. Chris Olave is one of the most underrated receivers in college football. Like, we don't talk about Chris Olave too much. We talk about Garrett. We talk about more Garrett Wilson, as Marshall, all these other receivers, Elijah Moore's. No one ever talks about Chris Olave, and I'm like, why? Why? Chris Olave is a really, really good receiver, and like, from what I've seen from Chris Olave this year, no one can cover this guy. No one can cover this guy. I'm not saying he's Devontae Smith and he's Jamar Chase, but the man is a really good receiver. So I know the matchup that everyone's looking forward to is Patrick Surtain against Chris Olave. That's the matchup. He's going to take shots. It's not like Patrick Surtain is just this Darrelle Revis cornerback that's just been locking down every receiver. We've seen Patrick Surtain get beat deep. We've seen the Tennessee game. He got beat a couple times. We've seen the Florida game. Trayvon Grimes beat him a couple of times. We've seen, even last year, alluding back to LSU, he got destroyed by Justin Jefferson last year. So obviously, Pat Surtain's a phenomenal corner. I do believe he's the best cornerback in all of college football. But we have seen Pat Surtain get absolutely destroyed by some of the best receivers. And Chris Olave is in the realm as one of the best. He's in that realm as one of the best receivers at. You look at Garrett Wilson, he's going to get looks at. Jackson Smith and Jigba, he's going to get looks. And then obviously they're going to set up the run. They're going to set up the run. They're going to establish the ground game with that physical offensive line. That's going to happen as well. So that's honestly one of the matchups I'm a little bit nervous about. Is that I love Pat Surtain, but Chris Olave is a beast. Chris Olave is one of those guys that no matter what cornerback you put on him, and especially if you try to leave an island on him, Chris Olave will kind of make you reconsider what type of coverage you're playing on. Um, for now, I got the Chiefs. I got the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl, at least for now. I mean, I would love for my Buffalo Bills to definitely get in there, and I definitely feel like we're a dangerous threat. But for now, the Chiefs. I mean, I alluded to this like a little bit earlier. The Chiefs won't die. I mean, no matter how much you stomp on them, no matter how much you kick them, they won't die. They just won't go away. I mean, the Chiefs are just that annoying pest that just will not go away. I hope so, Steve. I hope so, Steve. You know, I think that's championships. It hasn't really lived up to the billing. 2018 Alabama Clemson. Everyone thought that was going to be a shootout. Everyone thought that was going to be a classic, and then all of a sudden Clemson and they blew out Alabama 44-16. People talked about Clemson against LSU the next year, and LSU destroyed Clemson. So I do hope so. I really do hope so that Alabama is able to go in there and they are able to compete. I hope Ohio State goes in there. I mean, I just hope we do get a competitive football game. I really do hope we get a competitive football game. I hope we those. I just hope we get a great game because this. I mean, both these guys, both these teams are these are the two best teams in all of college football. These are the two best teams in all of college football. And I hope that we don't get a blowout. I hope it doesn't become boring real fast. I hope we get a real competitive football game. I hope this game does live up to the billing. By the way, we got 52 people in the live chat. Slap that like button, guys. Slap that like button. I mean, of course, you don't have to, but I really would appreciate it if you guys definitely slap that like button. I hope so. And I do believe that Jalen Waddle. It's kind of tricky. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. It is kind of tricky because Jalen Waddle he came off of a broken foot. He broke his foot or he fractured his foot, and it's like this is his first time practicing since that Tennessee week. So it's like, are we rushing Jalen Waddle? Are we, are we just trying to use him as a more as a kind of like as a decoy? Are we trying to kind of up their game plan because maybe they think that, hey, Jalen Waddle's he's practicing, we got to change our defensive game plan? Like it might be mental warfare. It could be real, but it could be mental warfare at the end of the day. I mean, we've seen situations where players are practicing, but they're not really playing in the game. So, obviously, I hope he does play. I hope he does play. I mean, if he's 100% healthy, I don't want to look like one of those Bama fans that are selfish. Um, but I, I really no. I'm from Buffalo, New York. I'm from Buffalo, New York. Trust. I appreciate that, Adam. Yeah, I hope. Man, if Alabama can win this national championship, it would be amazing. It would be amazing if we can pull off this national championship because you know who would have thought that Mac Jones, seriously, from what we've seen from Bloa, got hurt. Who would have ever thought that Mac Jones was going to lead this team to a national championship? I mean, for me, I was sold on him after the Michigan game, but before that, I'm like, oh, Mac Jones, he's a second string, he's a third string, he's a guy that's probably going to enter the transfer portal and go to Arkansas State. I just was not a believer in Mac Jones until I saw the Auburn game. It's like once I saw the Auburn game, I'm like, yeah, this kid can play. But even then, I never expected him to put up over 4,000 yards, close to 40 touchdown passes, and just to have that Jalen Hurts leadership. Like it's like he has that Jalen Hurts presence as far as his leadership, as far as intangibles, as far as just being around him. You just have this certain confidence just being around this guy or just seeing this guy on the football field. Yeah, Luke. Ohio State's defensive line is nasty. Tyler Friday, Tommy. I'm gonna butcher. I'm just gonna call him TT. I'm gonna call him TT. TT. I'm just gonna butcher that last name. But guys like Hooker, I mean, those guys on that defensive line are nasty, very very physical. And here's the thing: they're not the biggest guys in the world, guys. They're not the biggest guys in the world. These are guys. These are 290-pound defensive linemen, but they're so good. They're so quick. They're so damn athletic, and they're so damn strong. Like it is insane. Now I will say this: was it more Ohio State's defensive line is nasty, or was Clemson's offensive line a little overrated? Because looking at the ACC competition, the ACC was 0-6. The ACC was 0-6 in their bowl games. Notre Dame obviously kind of struggled a little bit. Notre Dame obviously was kind of a little bit of a pretender, and they got destroyed by Clemson, and then they lost to Alabama 31-14. So was it more that Clemson's offensive line was a little bit more overrated because of the and they looked that good because of the competition they faced, or was it because Ohio State's defensive line was truly that damn good? Because that defensive line, that was their best performance by far of the year. Best performance by far of the year as far as the defensive line. I have never seen that even from last year's game between Ohio State and Clemson when they had Chase Young on that defensive line. That Ohio State defensive line was not as dominant compared to what we saw against that Clemson game. That Clemson game, they were dominant. They held Travis Etienne to less than 40 yards rushing. 40 yards rushing. And Travis, if you stop Travis Etienne, you hold that dude to less than 100 yards, you got a great shot of beating Clemson. So I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm not going to lie to you guys. That Ohio State defensive line, if they can put up the same performance that they did against Alabama's, like they did against Clemson's defensive line, and they shut down Najee Harris and they forced Mac Jones in the pocket. And let me just say this, guys. Mac Jones is not elusive. Mac Jones is not even that fast. Trevor, that's a guy that they use in design quarterback runs. They can, Trevor Lawrence, he's phenomenal with his legs. They squeeze that dude in the pocket. They shut him down on design runs. So just imagine if Ohio State's defensive line can get going, and Mac Jones is a guy that he relies on the offensive line. He is a prototypical pocket passer. He relies on the offensive line. He needs time in order for like everything to kind of go around. That's how Mac Jones has been successful. If you get pressure on Mac Jones and you force that dude to step up and you kind of squeeze him inside that, timing's off and stuff like that, that could be the key for Ohio State to not only win that game, that could be the key to destroy them. Because remember, Clemson did the exact same thing. They squeezed Tua. They made him feel uncomfortable, and Clemson's defensive line was able to win that game 44-16. Yeah, I thought he ran like a 4.9. I know he's faster than Tua. I know Mac Jones is faster than Tua, but again, compared to Trevor Lawrence, who's a 4.6, probably maybe a 4.5 runner. Trevor Lawrence couldn't do a damn thing as far as trying to leave the pocket and trying to really scramble. Couldn't do a damn thing against that defensive line. They played with a lot of discipline when it comes to containment. The closest game that Mac Jones had a crap ton of pressure was the Georgia game. The Georgia game was the closest. And Georgia has a very fast defense, but Alabama's offensive line, especially what they did in the second half to that Georgia defense. They annihilated Georgia's front seven in the second half. They annihilated them. Barely put any pressure at all on Mac Jones. And so a good point. I think you bring a good point about that, Adam, is, Mac Jones has been pressured. Mac Jones has been pressured before, and we've seen it against Georgia. So, maybe that experience alone, and then you got the Auburn game when they had Derek Brown and Big Cat and all those guys. Mac Jones was able to stay in the pocket, was able to stay composed. I don't think that this Ohio State defense is going to be comfortable, if they're able to get a pass rush and they're able to hit him and to try to really establish that dominance over him. I don't think that's going to happen. Trevor Lawrence is a guy that he's not used to getting hit. He's not used to getting squeezed in the pocket and really feeling that much pressure. Mac Jones is a guy that went through that situation when he started against Auburn in his second career start. Mac Jones has felt that pressure. So, Mac Jones has great pocket presence. He has great pocket presence. He's not the most elusive guy in the world as far as taking off, but he is very elusive in the pocket. Great, quick feet, and he's a guy that he's not afraid to take on a challenge. Yeah, Luke, and Justin Fields. First of all, I just hope he's okay. I hope he does get better. I think the one thing about Justin Fields that I'm so interested in is when Alabama actually does put pressure on him, can he take off? Because when he tried to take off against Clemson, as soon as he had that hurt rib, he would slide every time. He would slide like compared to before he was injured, he's taking off and he's trying to get as many yards as he possibly can. Justin Fields was in an immense amount of pain. And here's the thing: when you have those rib injuries, of course, you're going to feel it on impact, but it gets worse. It gets worse as the days go by. It gets worse. And when you're actually trying to bend over, or you're trying to get out of bed, or you're trying to pick something up, you are going to feel like you got stabbed. So Justin Fields, especially, I can just imagine when you're in a football game, and especially when those ribs are really trying to heal, and you're taking those hits, because he's going to take some hits. How they need this, and if Alabama's in a situation where they force him to kind of try to scramble, can he do it? Can he do it? Because a huge factor that's made Justin Fields kind of the way he is his legs. When you kind of take those legs, you kind of make him a one-dimensional type of quarterback. And in a national championship game, you need to have every advantage that you possibly can get. I think Ohio State's defense is better, Truss. I think Ohio State's defense is better. Now, both defenses have weak points. Ohio State's weak point is their secondary. I think and it's not as weak as, I'm not trying to say that Ohio State secondary is very, but compared to, let's say, Ohio State's number one corner, which is Shaun Wade, versus Alabama's number one cornerback, which is Patrick Surtain. Ohio State does have some experience at those safety and cornerback positions, but they're not as good as they were last year with Jeffrey Okudah and Damon Arnett and Shaun Wade in the nickel. I mean, they're not as good there, obviously. I think Alabama, for what they were able to see, they were able to go against a lot of top passing offenses. They went up against Ole Miss's passing offense. They were able to go against Florida's passing offense. They were able to go against some really good passing offensive units. So I think Alabama, with the amount of games that they've done, Alabama and Ohio State's secondary is pretty equal, but Alabama has more experience when it comes to going against those top passing games, which could definitely be in Alabama's favor. I think Ohio State has a better defensive line. I like their linebacker unit as well, with Christian Harris, and of course with Dylan. But I think Ohio State has the better front seven. I think Alabama has the better secondary. I think in a game like this, where pressuring the quarterback really matters, I think Ohio State has that advantage. Oh, there's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot of first round picks. There's probably going to be at least maybe 8 to 9 first round draft picks in this game. Maybe 8 to 9 first round draft picks, probably from this class alone. Probably for this class alone, there's probably at least 8 to 9 NFL draft first rounders. Here's the story, Crimson Brave, about Dylan Moses, because this is something I just found out. So I read an article on 24/7 Sports, and Dylan Moses, he actually, and you can check it out on his Instagram, he talked about how, all the adversity he went through, and Dylan Moses, he admitted he did not recover from his ACL. He's been playing in pain the entire time. That's pretty much what he said, is that he's been playing in pain the entire time. And he thought about during the season of quitting. He thought about literally during the season of just kind of calling it in and just opting out and getting ready for the NFL. So we all knew that Dylan Moses did not look the same compared to how he looked in 2018 or even his freshman year. But the fact that Dylan Moses is playing in extreme pain, not fully recovered from a torn ACL injury, and he's still leading the team in tackles, that's insane. Yeah, I mean, it's insane that Dylan Moses was still the leading tackler with a bum knee. That's actually insane. No problem. Yeah, Tyler, I think Jalen Waddle's gonna play. I think Nick Saban, I don't think he's going to. Now, of course, they could use him as a decoy, and I talked about this a little bit earlier, is that we've seen situations where players have announced that they're going to be playing, or that these coaches have announced that these players are going to be playing, and then all of a sudden game time comes and they're not playing. And the reason why they kind of do that is because they want the defense to be on their heels. They want, they want these coaches to kind of think, well, is he going to play? Is he not going to play? Because Jalen Waddle is a threat. When he's on the football field, he's a threat. He makes Alabama's offense damn near unstoppable to cover, because it's kind of pick your poison. Do you want the underneath to be open, or do you want the over the top to be open? Pick your poison. So now with Jalen Waddle practicing, I guarantee you Ryan Day and that coaching staff is going to be looking at it, and they're going to be looking back at the Missouri game. They're going to be looking back at the Georgia game. They're going to be looking back at the earlier games, study those tapes a little bit more often about how Jalen Waddle and how this offense was so successful when he was in there, and compared to how they look at the tape from the latest games. So they could use Jalen Waddle as a decoy, but I do believe he does play. Nick Saban's the type of guy that if he feels like a player is ready to go, he's going to rely on his medic team. If he feels like a player's ready to go, he doesn't bullshit. He doesn't do any of the decoy stuff. He's playing. So I think Jalen Waddle is going to play. Now, as far as how many snaps he's going to play, I think that's the question. I think maybe limited, because we want to be cautious. Yeah, very limited, Crimson. I think he's going to be limited, but I think he does see some action. Yeah, I played the game for about played the game for 12 years. Played, I played a couple years of community college, the ECC, for a little bit. Um, Actually played outside linebacker. Wasn't the best player in the world. But yeah, played the game for over 12 years. No problem, Crimson. No problem. If anybody wants a wrench, just let me know, and I'll make you guys mods. I don't know if I can do this because I'm new to the live joint. I'm like new to the live joint, but actually no. So if any of you guys wants a wrench, just let me know, and I'll make you guys mods. I think there are some similarities from 2014, John. I think now obviously Alabama is not going to be the huge favorite like we saw in 2014, because a lot of people thought that Alabama was going to smoke Ohio State. People underestimated the amount of talent that was on that roster. Um, I do believe though that from as far as the hype that Alabama is kind of getting, it may overshadow Ohio State for kind of what they've done this season. But then again, it may not, because Ohio State just beat Clemson. Now, if Ohio State, let's say they went up against Notre Dame in the first round, and Alabama went up against Clemson, and Alabama smoked Clemson, and everyone's kind of like saying, "Oh, well, Alabama is going to absolutely destroy Ohio State in the national championship." I think it will be very, very similar, because as far as from a talent perspective, this team is similar to 2014. Now they don't have that Nick Bosa pass rusher, but they have the receivers. They have the receivers like they did in 2014. They got the running game like they did in 2014. They got the offensive line like they did in 2014, and they have a better quarterback than what they did than what they had with Cordell Jones. Oh, Alabama's defense in 2014 was horrible. I hated Alabama. I hated that defense. I mean, we didn't have a pass rusher in 2014. We did not have a pass rusher in 2014. I hated Alabama's defense in 2014. Uh, oh, I hated it. I hated Alabama's defense in 2014. I think the only good part, Look Collins was the only good part of that. Well, Jonathan Allen too. Jonathan Allen, Ashawn Robinson as a sophomore. Um, but I did, Cyrus Jones was our best cornerback in 2014, and he was getting smoked almost every play. No, I'm not going. If Ohio State beats Alabama, if Ohio State beats Alabama, I'll give Ohio State their kudos. Um, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I did not expect Alabama to win the national championship this year. I expect them to at least make the playoffs, but I never expect them to make it to the national championship because this is a rebuilding year. I still will say it. This is the rebuilding year for Alabama. I'm not trying to give Alabama any excuses, but I did think that Clemson was going to face that. I did think that Clemson was going to the national championship. I did think Alabama was going to get to the playoffs. But looking at the offense was going to be great, but I had no confidence in our defense. And for the first 3 to 4 games, that was proven true. Our defense stunk in the first 4 games. So, the fact that Alabama was able to improve on the defensive side of the ball, they were able to win the SEC championship, they were able to go to the college football playoffs, they're probably going to have a Heisman Trophy winner, and they're going to take home countless awards. If they lose to Ohio State in the national championship, that's no shame, man. Ohio State has a great football team. You have a top 2 overall pick in Justin Fields. You got a great defense. You got probably the second or third most talented team in all of college football. There's no shame at all to losing to Ohio State. So, no, if they lose, I'll definitely go up there. I'll definitely go up there and I'll just, I'll do what I always do. I'll give Ohio State their kudos. Yeah, we did. We had Ha Clem Dix, but he wasn't the same player. Like he wasn't like how he was in 2012. Ha was a monster. Ha was a ball hawk in 2012. 2013 he slowed down a little bit. Eddie Jackson really took over the show in 2013, but 2014 I think he had like one interception. He was more of a guy he was more of an in the box safety in 2014, even though they had him as a free safety. He was more of an in the box safety. I just did not like how they kind of used Hashan in 2014. But yeah, Ha was on that football team. Yeah, I mean, of course, Alabama fans have huge expectations, but there were a lot of fans that just want Alabama to get into the playoffs. We didn't want to have another year where we were just, we had like 2 or 3 losses and we kind of underachieved. Now with this offense, I mean, you had 3 of the best offenses ever. Every single year, a record is getting set, and it's probably gonna continue that way. But I'm more excited for 2021. I expect Alabama to win the national championship in 2021 because 2021 that defense. I expect this defense to go back to domination. I'm tired of having a okay to above average defense. I expect domination. I expect Alabama to dominate defensively next year, especially with all those guys that are going to be coming back. This is the defense that's gonna have huge expectations for next year. For Ohio State or Alabama, Hayes? Uh, yeah, yes, same old, man. I think Alabama's gonna get in. I think Ole Miss, not Ole Miss. Oh, can you imagine if Ole Miss actually gets in? I think Alabama's gonna get in. I think Clemson's gonna get in. I think Ohio State's gonna get in. And I think a newcomer will get in. I think well not necessarily a newcomer, but I think Oklahoma gets in. I think those 4 teams will get in. Um, Georgia could get in. I think there's going to be a football team. LSU is going to be a dark horse team. North Carolina is going to be a dark horse. Oregon's going to be a dark horse. But I think Georgia, I don't trust Kirby Smart. They got all the talent in the world, but I don't trust Kirby Smart. I don't think he's going to give full authority to Top Muckett to run the offense. I don't think he's going to give full authority to JT to Top Muckett to run that offense and making that offense better than what it actually is. I just don't trust Kirby Smart. Nah, yeah, I mean those expectations, Hayes. I mean, look, a lot of Alabama fans thought they wanted Alabama to go to the national championship. A lot of Bama fans thought that they could. Bama, there were some people that believed in Mac Jones, and it really wasn't even Mac Jones. It was just having Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith. You had the best offensive line in college football, and people thought that the defense was going to improve from last year, which it has. But people thought that defense was going to improve next level because of Dylan Moses. So no, I mean, a lot of people had expectations that Alabama was going to go to the national championship, which of course they did. Yeah. North Carolina is maybe one more year away. I think but I think by the time Sam Howell is a senior at North Carolina, I think maybe North Carolina can be a threat. I think losing both their backs, that's a big loss. What I was actually more impressed with was their offensive line. They have a very physical offensive line, but North Carolina needs one more year of good recruiting. They need one more year of recruiting. They need some more developments. I do like the direction that Mac Brown has taken with North Carolina so far, but they just need more time. They need more time. North Carolina is the only team in the ACC that can challenge Clemson. They're the only team in the ACC that can challenge Clemson, and I just don't think Clemson that North Carolina is ready yet. Clemson's going to run the ACC for probably 2 or 3 more years at least, and I'm just talking about straight before maybe potentially losing it. Who do I have winning the game? Trust. You know what's funny, Hayes? If you actually take a look at the 2018 team, that offense was technically better. That offense was technically better because you had three running backs in Harris. You had the two Harrises, and then you had Jacobs. You had all those receivers with Waddle, Ruggs, and Judy and Smith. You had probably the best offensive line, even though, and I'm just talking about from a talent wise, maybe not compared to this offensive line, but you had Jedrick Wills, Jonah Williams, two first round tackles. You had Alex Leatherwood, a potential first round tackle. Deontay Brown was starting on that team. You had oh my god, his name is escaping me. Who was the center? Who? Damn it, that the name is escaping me. I might have to forget it. I might have to forget it. That name is honestly escaping me. But yeah, Alabama's offensive line was deadly. I think the only thing that held that offense back was Mike Losley because we kept running RPOs. We kept running RPOs, and when we finally went up against a team that knew how to stop it, and we just couldn't do anything. And it wasn't the first extent. It was three times: Mississippi State, Georgia, and Clemson, and we did nothing to try to change it. So really, I would say it was more play design and schematics that kind of just screwed us up. But besides that, from a talent level and from a statistics, that technically 2018 was the best Alabama offense they ever had. Oh yeah, schematically, this offense is way better because it's a classic. It's pro style, but with a mixture of a crap ton of spread concepts. There's a lot of play action. There's a lot more balance in the run game, and it's a lot more freedom for these receivers to kind of try to pretty much do their thing. I mean, there's a lot of override routes, a lot of crossing routes. There's just a crap ton as far as the route tree for these receivers to really run. I mean, really in 2018 and 2019, there was really like three or four routes that the Alabama receivers would run. There was slants, it would be go routes, it would be seams, but no crossers. No, I mean, what are you seeing in today's NFL offense? Everybody's running a crossing route. Everyone's running an override. Ross Pierschbacher, thank you. Jesus, that name, I'm telling you, that was literally going to bother me. I forget. Ross Pierschbacher was, I think he actually won the fourth round. But yeah, 2018 and 2019 it limited these receivers and their route running ability, and it kind of maybe held them back to truly how good these guys were. But in 2020, man, I mean, these receivers have a lot of freedom. This offense perfectly suits Mac Jones with his arm talent and really just his pocket presence and his awareness. I mean, this offense from a schematic and a play design standpoint is way better than how it was in 2018 and 2019. But in 2018, 2019, the talent that we had was crazy, especially in 2018. Yeah, I would say, of course, the biased fan in me is always going to choose Alabama to win. But from a non-biased standpoint, I think I'm going to go with Ohio State to win. I think Ohio State is going to win this game, and that's from a non-biased standpoint. I think it can change, but I think the reason why I'm going to go with Ohio State is because I think their defensive front is actually going to have some pressure. I think this Alabama's offensive line is going to face a challenge that they really kind of never faced before. And I do believe that they'll win. No. Don't get me wrong. Alabama's offense will be explosive. But compared to Alabama's front, how we kind of seen this team get out physical, we've seen teams run the football and really be more physical than Alabama's defensive front. I think that Ohio State's offensive line will win more battles than Alabama's offensive line winning the battles against Ohio State's front. But I do expect this game to be a high-scoring affair. That's the question, Cody. That's the question. Is can they stop Ohio State's run game? I mean, last week, the running back Williams for Notre Dame, he had like what 50 something, like 40 or 50 something yards. But one of the things that I've noticed was that offensive line for Notre Dame opened up some holes. Like if you watch the game, you had guys like Fedarian Mathis get literally washed down the entire line. And I honestly feel like Williams just didn't read the holes. I think people kind of really, you know, I think Williams is an okay back. I don't think he's a great back. I don't even think he's a good back, to be honest with you. I think he runs tough. He runs hard. He's a physical guy. But you put Najee Harris behind that Notre Dame offensive line, or you put Travis Etienne or Trey Sermon behind that Notre Dame offensive line, and I think that they will just create a lot more opportunities compared to how Notre Dame's running back ran behind. So I feel like Alabama's defensive front didn't really lose the battle, but they didn't really win it, in my opinion. I feel like it was more of a play calling and a play design standpoint that kind of stopped Notre Dame for doing what they wanted to do against Alabama. We've seen games where Alabama's defensive front just couldn't really do anything as far as the run. Again, the Georgia game couldn't do crap against Georgia in the run game. Tennessee had 140 yards. We saw Kentucky had 150 yards. You can run against this Alabama defense. You can run against this Alabama defense. Oh, I'm confident next year we're going to win it all. I'm super confident. Just from a depth perspective, Alabama's defense this will be the deepest Alabama defense next year that we have seen since 2016. So I have supreme confidence next year that Alabama is going to be contending for a national championship next year. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree with you, Aaron. It's like if you lose because of just Ohio State just called the better game. I'm sorry, just because if you're losing in the ground game just because of you're missing tackles or they just have their design runs are just better than you, then I can understand that. But when you lose because of physicality, that's an issue. That's a big issue if you're losing because they were just more physical than you. That's a big issue. And it's not like Alabama's defensive front wasn't trying. They were trying their ass off. That's just a lack of physicality that we just don't have. And that's one thing Ohio State did against Clemson. They just ran the crap down Clemson's throat. They ran it down Clemson's throat. And it was nothing they can do about it. It was nothing they can do about it. And if you can't stop Ohio State's run game, guess what that's going to do? It's going to set up the pass. It's going to set up the pass because eventually Alabama's going to try to stack the box. Now, if they want to, they could pull a Bill Belichick. They could pull a Bill Belichick and just say, you know what, Ohio State, if you guys want to run the ball so goddamn bad, then fine, we're going to let you run the ball. But one thing that we're not going to let you do is that we're going to let you pass the ball on us. We are going to stop you for throwing the football. We're going to let you run it down our throats, but we're going to stop you from throwing the football. If they want to pull off a Bill Belichick, and maybe it can, who knows, maybe it can work that way. But Alabama's number one weakness right now isn't really their pass defense, it's their run defense. It's not really that noticeable, but against physical teams, we have struggled stopping the run. Yeah, you make a great point that Hayes, that's one thing that I have to factor in is that Justin Fields is not 100%. He's going into this game probably 70 or 65%. He's playing with a broken rib or a bruised rib. I mean, I don't know the extent of his injury. They won't release it. And honestly, can you really blame him? But he's playing hurt. He's playing really, really hurt. And the fact that you're limiting Justin Fields to kind of being one dimensional and you're really forcing him to kind of being just a pocket passer, I think could be in their favor. Now, if Alabama can stop the run game, if they can find a way to stop the run game, Alabama has a great shot of not winning this game. They have a great shot of blowing them out. They have a great shot of blowing them out because Alabama's going to get pressure. Alabama has shown that they can get pressure just by rushing forward. They don't even have to blitz. They can rush forward, and they've shown the ability to get pressure. If Alabama can squeeze that pocket, force Justin Fields to be uncomfortable inside that pocket, and you take away his legs to take away that mobility while stopping the run game, while taking away the run game as well, you have a great chance of not only beating them, you have a great chance of blowing them out. Mac Jones can run. He can run a little bit. He's not the greatest scram in the world. He's not elusive. He doesn't have Trevor Lawrence speed, but he can run. Mac Jones is a guy that if he sees something, if his checkdowns is not there, if he's going through his progressions and nothing's there, he can take off. I hope not, Adam. I really do. I hope Trey Sermon does not. I hope not. I really hope he doesn't stretch us out like that. Yeah, they didn't. I think Northwestern played with a lot of physicality, and they're undersized. Northwestern was more undersized than Ohio State, but they play with a lot more physicality. And sometimes, being the bigger, stronger, quicker guy doesn't mean that you're more physical. Like, it's really about will. It's really willpower. It's like how much do you want it? How much do you want it at the end of the day? And if it's either you got it or you don't. And Northwestern, Wisconsin, these blue collar type of programs, man, they are very, very physical. They're very, very, they recruit these blue collar type of players that are extremely physical and that just does not take crap for anybody, man. And they're extremely nasty, man, especially those defensive linemen. Can Alabama's defensive line, can they assert a type of dominance against Ohio State's offensive line? That's something that we're going to have to see. I think another reason why I think Ohio State didn't play well too is because I think communication, right? As far as combo blocking, as far as just from a zone blocking standpoint, from a combo block standpoint, really communicating with each other and really, taking on each other's responsibilities, especially in the passing, the running game. I felt like kind of was off a little bit for Ohio State. So who knows? Again, Ohio State had a week off. They had another week off after coming off a game where you can look at the tape and say, and there was a lot of mistakes that, of course, that offensive line had to fix. So Ohio State, we also got taken into consideration. They probably just got better. Yeah, man, I agree. Mac Jones really is really good, Aaron. Yeah, Aaron, you know what? I actually was going to bring that up too. Bama has they've struggled against up tempo offenses, and primarily one of the things that have given them fits, and this is probably going to go back to like maybe the last couple of years, or let's even when Gus Malzahn was there in Auburn. The one thing that has given Alabama fits more than the passing attack has been up tempo run game. The up tempo run game has given Alabama has it's caused Alabama a massive amount of headaches over the years. When they've matched a team that they know that the opposition can run the football on them, and if they can get it going, just the up tempo and just that fast, quick tempo, it just exerts so much energy out of you. It takes so much energy out of you, that it just it's brutal, man. If you've ever played football before and you actually went up against that type of offense, trust me, it is brutal to kind of go against. It takes so much energy out of you. You would, I mean, if it would literally feels like you're dying. But that's one of the things Ohio State did against Clemson is that it was just their up tempo run game. Ohio State will use that against Alabama. I guarantee you, if they can run the football and they can establish a solid ground game, they're going to use that against Alabama. And one of the things that kind of worried me was Alabama's conditioning on the defensive line. The fact that Christian Barmore had to kind of had his hands on his hips literally after a couple of plays, and you saw Federian Mathis, you saw, he was kind of, it looked like he wasn't conditioned well. That actually could be a problem. Yeah, that's gonna be the matchup I'm honestly looking forward to is Patrick Surtain against Chris Olave. Surtain against Olave is going to be a great matchup to watch. Trust me, a lot of people have not thrown to Patrick Surtain's way. Justin Fields is going to look for Chris Olave. Ohio State's got a crap ton of really good, talented receivers. Chris Olave is by far their best receiver, and it's not even close. And I like Jackson Smith and Jigba. I like Garrett Wilson. Chris Olave is by far their best receiver. If he's playing and if he's matched up against Patrick Surtain, and we all know how Alabama is, Alabama's going to leave guys on the island, mainly Patrick Surtain. They're going to leave Patrick Surtain on the island with Chris Olave. Justin Fields is going to look for Chris Olave. And the question is, can Pat Surtain lock him up, or will Chris Olave, will he get the best of him? I don't know. I don't know Buckeye 76. I talked about this a little bit earlier. It could be a possibility they just use him as a decoy. They just use him just to kind of get that, those Ohio State coaches on their tails a little bit. But it could be an opportunity that he does play. And if he does play, he'll be limited. It's not like he's going to be in there for a long time. He'll be limited. But yeah, I'm not. It's not official. It's not official yet. He is practicing. It could be a possibility that they just give him some time, just to kind of see how he feels, and if he feels like he's ready to go, then he'll probably play. But yeah, I'm not too sure if he's going to be playing or not. Yeah, Sermon looks actually stronger compared to what I've seen him against Oklahoma. He looks stronger. He runs a lot harder than what I've seen before. He runs a lot he runs a lot with physicality. He runs extremely hard. And one of the things I've always been impressed about Trey Sermon, even when he was at Oklahoma, is his patience. Very, very patient running back, man. He waits for the holes to develop and then he bursts. He's a very, very strong dude. Yeah, you make a great point there, Lucas. Ryan Day, he is great at making adjustments, and we've even seen this last year. Is that Ohio State can make some adjustments? I'm gonna be honest with you. It's actually better if Alabama goes down in the first half. It's actually a little bit better if Ohio State goes up in the first half. But Ohio State does a phenomenal job of making adjustments on the fly. They make adjustments quick in a hurry. Yeah, that's a really good point there, Lucas. Yeah, Sermon's a bad boy, man. Trey Sermon is a bad mother. Well, I'm not whatever. He's a bad boy. I'm just gonna say that. No, Aaron, he can't. He can't. And Josh Jobe has a lot of promise, man. But Josh Jobe, he's good in zone coverage. We do try to play a lot of bump and run coverage with him on the outside, and there are times where we do leave him on an island. But if he's matched up against Chris Olave, if he's matched up against Garrett Wilson, if he's matched up against I'm nervous if he gets matched up against anybody on an island, and it's gonna happen. We all know how Alabama's corners play. They play with a lot of bump and run coverage. They leave their corners on an island. I do not trust Josh Jobe, and I'm surprised not a lot of teams attack him more because he gets beat. And what Josh Jobe, and I give him credit for this, kind of what he gets away with it, he is that he kind of tugs you. It's like once you actually beat him, he tugs you, but he holds on to you just enough, just long enough before the referee actually catches him, where he kind of slows down the receiver's momentum. He actually does a really good job of doing that. But Josh Jobe gets beat a lot. I'm actually surprised not a lot of teams really kind of throw it in his direction. They throw a lot in Malachi Moore's direction and Brian Branch's direction, and of course they attack the linebackers, but not a lot of people attack Josh Jobe. It's actually kind of shocking, actually. But who knows? Maybe Ohio State can look at the tape and they'll see that Josh Jobe is probably going to be the guy that should be tested. That bump and run hit them flags. Yeah. It's better to kind of just tug them down before an actual big play happen. Yeah, Malachi Moore is a beast, man. Malachi Moore is an animal. I'm interested to see if he plays. He did not play last week because I guess leading up to the game, or at least leading up to pregame, he actually tried to practice a little bit, didn't wasn't feeling it, and so they started Brian Branch over Malachi Moore. Malachi Moore is not only one of our best slot corners, he's one of our best man coverage corners. Um, I do hope he's okay. I do hope he's 100% healthy. I think Brian Branch is capable of starting in his position, but Malachi Moore has that playmaking ability. There's just something special about Malachi Moore. He has that playmaking, that natural Eddie Jackson, Minka Fitzpatrick, haha Clinton Dix type of instinct of just going to the ball, finding a way to find and just finding a way to create turnovers. Yeah, I agree with you, King. Master Teague. Yeah, I like Master Teague. I actually thought Master Teague was going to be the starting running back, but I know he had a very significant injury, and then Trey Sermon was able to take the spot. But Master Teague's another guy. I think Master Teague is the backup running back. I do believe it. I do believe they use him a couple times. Trey Sermon is obviously the man, but Master Teague is definitely we're definitely going to be seeing a lot of Master Teague. I'm going to go with Saban only because Saban has with all the national championship appearances that this guy has been in. Nick Saban has been in 8 national championships. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. He's been to 9 national championships. I'm sorry. Nick Saban has been to 9 national championships. He's seen it all. He's won in close games. He's won in blowouts. He's won in shootouts. He's lost in shootouts. He's lost in a blowout. He's seen it all. And I think Ryan Day is obviously a great coach. And I would not be surprised at all if Ryan Day, gets this win and he ends up winning the national championship. But Saban has that experience. I mean, Steve Sarkisian being announced before the national championship. Normally everyone will be on rage. The head coach would be pissed off right now, and he'll go up to the press conference. Any head coach would be pissed right now, going off to a press conference, raging about why in the hell the media kind of leaked it out and calling him scum. This is the sixth time this has happened to Nick Saban. Think about that. You're preparing for a national championship game, and and it's leaked out that the coordinator, your most important coordinator, not just any coordinator, your most important coordinator took a head coaching job a week before the national championship game. This is the sixth time this has happened to Nick Saban before a national title. I think with all that experience that Nick Saban has accumulated over the 20 years that he's been, or more than that, almost the 3 decades he's been coaching college football, I think that experience alone, I got to give to Nick Saban as far as when it comes to preparation. Saban's won. Yeah, he's won every way. He's won any way you want. No matter how you want it, Nick Saban's won it. Ooh, that's a good question, Cody. That's a really good question. I don't think so because Nick Saban, he's expressed a lot of times, and he even says before COVID, he said when he doesn't coach, it just feels weird. And I think Nick Saban's at a point in his life where he's still chasing too. He's still chasing of how to get better. I think Nick Saban, I think maybe after his contract comes up after 2023, maybe he decides to retire. I wouldn't be shocked at all if Alabama extends his contract. I think, depending on his health, I think depending on if he just feels motivated, if as long as Nick Saban has that motivation, he's going to continue to coach Alabama. It, he's going to continue to coach at Alabama until he kind of loses that. Once he loses that motivation and that desire to kind of get better, because become a college coach, I actually can make an argument that a college coach is actually tougher than being an NFL coach. Because an NFL coach, you don't have to worry about recruiting. You don't have to worry about these kids keeping up with their grades, right? And then you have to deal with the other duties that a typical NFL coach would handle. Nick Saban strives to be the best that he can possibly be. And as soon as Nick Saban loses that motivation, that's when I think he'll retire. So I don't think he'll lose that if Alabama wins the national title. Again, it could be after his contract's up, or it could be 5, hell, maybe even 6 years from now. Yeah, I'm reading just yeah. CFP titles and BCS wins as favorites and better seed. Man, we have some good wins. I'm just reading that comment that Paul wrote. Man, there are some good wins and there are some brutal ass losses in there. Yeah, Cody, it's just the media. They called him a quitter. They called they gave Nick Saban hell. Like when Nick Saban went 7-6 his first year, the media gave him hell, and especially the local media for Alabama, they gave him hell, man, because everyone thought as soon as he got there that he was automatically going to get Alabama, that Alabama was going to be a national championship contender his first year, or at least they were going to get like 9 or 10 wins. And as soon as he and as soon as the expectations were kind of falling after each loss, and they weren't bad losses. Every loss he had was a close game. He had some good wins, he had some bad losses, and of course, obviously it wasn't the greatest start in the world for Nick Saban, but the media got on his ass during that year. And then, of course, the following year, after they went undefeated and they lost to Florida, and then, of course, the Utah game, people still called Nick Saban a quitter and that his team didn't try hard and that Nick Saban was never going to win a national title until the next year came and he actually won a national championship. Yeah, Crimson, you make a good point about JT. I like JT Daniels a lot. I've been watching JT since modern day. He's a really really good pocket passer. I think he does fit this top mucking offense. However, he's no Justin Fields. I don't even think he's a Jacob Eason. Is he next year they bring in Brock Vandergriff. And if they have a situation where Brock Vandergriff, this athletic type of quarterback, is better in practice and clearly has the talent to overthrow JT Daniels, right? We're all saying JT, everybody's saying, including Georgia fans, are saying JT Daniels is the next really great Matthew Stafford. Maybe that's Brock Vandergriff coming in. And Brock Vandegrift could be that Justin Fields guy where he has all the athletic traits and tools in the world, but he might end up transferring because that lack of confidence in him and lack of opportunities, while JT Daniels is getting all the credit. Yeah, and people call Nick Saban. People call Nick Saban, all type of things, man. When he left LSU and went to the Miami Dolphins, everyone was like, "Hey, you got a great coaching opportunity," but he was there for about a couple of years. Came back to college, went to Alabama, SEC, LSU's direct rival, and LSU hates Alabama with a passion. LSU thinks that their number one rival is, of course, Alabama. Alabama's number one rival is Auburn. But it's crazy how the national media made this huge, still to this day, makes this huge thing as far as this huge rivalry between LSU and Alabama. When really, if you take a look at their history, it's not really that big of a rivalry. It's matter of fact, it's kind of it's a big game, but it's really another game. The media kind of branded it a very, very huge rivalry because Nick Saban left LSU to go to the NFL, and then he came back and went back to Alabama, which really started this huge ass rivalry. Oh man, not that different. I think Trevor Lawrence. I think Trevor not that different compared to Tua and compared to Tua and compared to Mac Jones being there, not that different. I think they're about the same. I think the only difference with that would be that Trevor Lawrence using his legs a little bit more often. I think obviously with his legs would just give defenses a little bit more headaches, but not that much of a difference compared to what Tua and Mac Jones did. It really isn't that much of a difference. I think Trevor Lawrence would just put up the same numbers, if not maybe better numbers. But as far as the impact goes, not that much. I think Trevor Lawrence would be a wet dream, for Steve Sarkisian. Steve Sarkisian would love to have Trevor Lawrence as his quarterback if he ever had the opportunity. But compared to just what Mac Jones has been doing this year, not really that much of a difference. I think Urban Meyer is going to go to the NFL. Urban Meyer, I said this last stream. Urban Meyer, Urban Meyer misses coaching. He misses coaching with the passion. Urban Meyer is one of those guys that he can't quit it. I mean, coaching is like a drug, and I think the reason why he kind of kept retiring was because of the stress. The fact that you have to worry about kids with the grades, and you have to worry about recruiting, and you have to worry about the other coaching duties that an NFL coach will have to handle. I mean, college coaches have more responsibilities than NFL coaches have, and some people can handle it, some people can't handle that. Urban Meyer is a great coach, but it's just too much I feel like it's just too much responsibility for Urban Meyer to handle as far as his health. Going to the NFL, you take away less of those responsibilities away, right? You take away less of those responsibilities. You don't have to worry about the recruiting standpoint. And again, recruiting is 24/7. You don't stop recruiting, right? You can get one class, but then the next day you have to worry about the next class, and then the next class, and then setting up camps and evaluating. It's a stressful ass job as a college coach. So as an NFL coach, there's just so much less responsibility that you have to that you don't have to deal with as far as compared to how you are in college. So, I think if he does go to the NFL, and let's say he does end up with the Jacksonville Jaguars, I think he's going to be the coach, and I think he'll be there for a long time. I think Urban, it's obvious he's just not done with coaching. He's a guy that wants to coach. He's not done. Who's capping? No, I'm joking with you, Gary. Bill O'Brien. I'm actually glad someone actually brought up Billy. Bill O'Brien's one hell of an offensive coordinator. Bill O'Brien is I don't know what to call him as a head coach because he was a good coach at Penn State. Went to the Texans. Had his stint over there, but as a manager, I'll say this: Bill O'Brien is not actually he's not a bad head coach. Bill O'Brien's actually a good head coach. He's a bad general manager. That's where the Texans messed up on. They gave him too much power. They made him a general manager. If they just made him a pure head coach and actually got a general manager that knew what the hell they were doing, the Texans would be fine. The Texans were probably in the playoffs right now, honestly, and contending for a championship. Bill O'Brien he is one hell of an offensive mind. He knows exactly what to do on the with the offensive side of the ball. So if Bill O'Brien, if Nick Saban gets Bill O'Brien as an offensive coordinator, I'll be happy with it. You get another good offensive mind. Adam Gates, same thing. Adam Gates is a horrible head coach, but Adam Gates is one hell of an offensive coordinator. He's one hell of an offensive coordinator, horrible head coach. Horrible head coach. One hell of an offensive coordinator, though. Yeah, I agree with you, Crimson. It's like if Tom Herman becomes the offensive coordinator, that's fine. But if he's the offensive coordinator for Alabama, you know exactly what's about to happen. He'll be here for a year and then he's gone. Herman would be here. He'll be here for a year and then he leaves and he goes somewhere else, whether it's to the NFL or whether it's or maybe it's another college job. I'm actually glad. Nick, what's going on, New Jack? I'm actually glad you're here because I forgot to. I said I was going to give you a wrench. I completely forgot about that too. Like I said, if any of you guys want a wrench, just let me know and I'll definitely add you guys. Just let me know. No problem. No problemo. And I probably just mispronounced the hell out of it, but whatever. I got your code. You pretty much have the power just to block. You have the power to block. If I give you a wrench, you have the power to block. So if anyone comes in here, they make ignorant comments or anything, stuff like that, you can just block them. Lane Kiffin. You know, people have a mutual respect for Lane Kiffin because obviously what he's done for the program, and without Lane Kiffin, Alabama's offense wouldn't be to where it is right now without Lane Kiffin. So Bama fans have a mutual respect for Lane Kiffin. However, he is a smartass. He does have a smart mouth, and he will troll Alabama. He'll troll a lot of Alabama fans. He'll try to troll Nick Saban to the best of his ability. So, uh, you know, in a way, I mean, it's a love hate relationship with Lane Kiffin, but there is a deep mutual respect with him because of everything he's done with this program. You know what, New Jack? As soon as I figure out how to do that calling stuff, as soon as I figure out how to do the calling stuff, I will do it. As soon as I figure that stuff out, I will have a calling show. That is one of my goals. Is I'm trying to figure out the live stream and how I can do all this stuff and how I can do all this stuff and I can add music and stuff like that. My One of my goals is to definitely have a calling show. So that is happening. Yeah, I got to get a new PC. I think that's another thing too for me. I got to get a new PC. I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. As long as I'm chatting with you guys right now, it doesn't really matter. As long as I'm just chatting with you guys and you guys can hear me, and I can look at the chat, and everyone's having a chill time up in here. It is what it is. But eventually we are gonna have to upgrade. Eventually, we're definitely gonna have to upgrade. Of course, for me, I am a college student. I am a college student, so of course, your boy has to worry about taking care of tuition and all that stuff like that. But we will definitely get there. Yeah, I try to be as objective as possible, Brandon. I mean, that's just definitely one of my goals. I mean, for the most part, everyone for the most part, they have an Alabama channel, or they're a fan of a particular team, and they base their channel off of that. But for me, I just want to just create a sports channel. Oh yeah, yeah, I appreciate that, New Jack. If you did, just so I can see to check it out. I mean, I don't blame you, Matt. I don't blame you at all, man. I don't blame you at all, man. I mean, Dwayne Haskins. Now listen, he can be in strip clubs, and he can be playing back that ass up. He can be playing that song all the damn time with them strip clubs. But he's an extremely talented player. So I don't blame me. I don't blame anybody if they get Dwayne Haskins. He still is talented, and I don't think he has the proper quarterback development to kind of be where he is, because he has a crap ton of upside. Strong ass arm, extremely talented guy. Just to check his attitude. I think that just needs to happen. He just needs to check his attitude. I think the problem with Sean Wade this year, Micah, is Sean Wade is playing at a position that he's not comfortable in being. Sean Wade's a nickelback. I've been saying this about Sean Wade for the last 3 years. Sean Wade is a beast when he's in the slot. But when you place him in outside, you just put him in a more uncomfortable position that he's just not really used to. And is this going to hurt his draft stock? I don't think so, because I think when NFL scouts evaluate him, the first thing they say about him is that he's playing in an unnatural position. And maybe that's just Ohio State lacking depth or maybe they just lack experience at the outside. And of course that would make sense with all the first round corners they've had over the years. But I just think that Sean Wayne is just playing in a position that he's just uncomfortable of being. That it's just unnatural to him. So I think him being in the slot and really what he's been used to, and how they use him in the run game, and how they use him as an extra blitzer, and how they use him to cover those slot guys, it's just an unnatural fit for him right now. I hope so, Preston. I hope so. I mean, Sark even said it himself, man. He's juggling duties right now. He's juggling duties between Texas and Alabama. So I hope that he can pull. This is his last week. Hopefully, he can put on a full effort, and we can see the best game plan we've ever seen from Sark. Because if we lose this game, but Sark coached his ass off, and we can feel proud of what he's done for this university. With the loss, we can say, what, Sark, thank you for everything you've done, man. We appreciate everything you've done for us. But people have a problem with Mike Losley. People have a problem with Lane Kiffin, because those guys. I mean, Loxley didn't quit, but you can tell he didn't coach his best that game. You can just tell. And then obviously Lane Kiffin, he quit. He quit on the team, and gave it to Sark. And Sark had to literally implement his offense in a week. In a week, he had to implement his offense, or try in a week for Clemson. So I do hope that Sark brings his best effort. Tom Herman loves flight attendants. Listen, I don't blame him, man. Them flight attendants is fine, dog. Especially if anyone has ever left the states, if anyone has ever went overseas, I'm telling you, man, them flight attendants, especially when it goes to overseas, man, they hit different. They hit different. I don't blame Tom Herman. I agree with you, GS. It's all about the trenches. It's all about the trenches right there, GS. If Ohio State's defensive line can do more than Alabama's offensive line, they're going to win. If Alabama's defensive line can if Alabama's defensive line, if they can put more pressure on the offensive line, and they can try to stop that run game a little bit, or at least slow it down, then Alabama's going to have an advantage. But yeah, I agree with you. It's all about those trenches. No problem, Tyler. I go to Buffalo State. I go to Buffalo State. I'm actually thinking about transferring to Alabama. I've actually been thinking about that for a while now. But I actually think either Alabama, UB, or maybe somewhere else I'll wear. But I'm thinking about probably just getting out the city. I actually heard that Bama has a really good communications department. That's actually my major is communications. I heard they got a really good communications department. So plus that's my favorite team. That's where I want to Alabama is of course my favorite team. So why not potentially even go there? So I'm thinking about it. What's going on, Iceberg? I've actually yeah. You know what's funny, man? I was supposed to go to an Alabama game this year. I actually was supposed to go to an Alabama game this year, man. I was actually supposed to go. I was supposed to go to the Georgia game, but COVID had to hit. And then I was supposed to go to the LSU game last year. Um, but my ticket got canceled. My order got canceled, and I couldn't go for some reason. It was asked too. Thankfully, I got it. Thankfully, I got like the email a week before I was actually supposed to go down there. But it definitely sucks, man. Because I wanted to go to Birmingham. I wanted to go to Birmingham. I wanted to go see the museums over there and stuff like that. Um, I know my mom. She wanted to go. She wanted to take me down there to Birmingham to go see the museums and just to kind of tour Birmingham. And then we were supposed to go to Tuscaloosa, but unfortunately, COVID had to hit. Oh, you live in Birmingham, Crimson. Okay, I see you, dog. Okay, New Jack. Okay. Oh shit. Oh shit. Aaron, we might be on the same campus, dog. We might be on the same campus. Yeah, man. If this COVID crap can slow down, I'm gonna be in Alabama. That's definitely one of my goals. If this thing can slow down, that's definitely one of my goals this year. So just go down to Alabama, just to go down there, man, and to at least go to one game. I want to go to one game. I want to take a look. I want to tour the campus. Um, want to tour the facilities. That's just always been one of my checklists. I've been to UK. I've been to the UK. I've been to France. I've been to Canada. But damn, one of my goals was to just go to Alabama at least one time. And this is always something holding me back, man. So hopefully I can go down there this year. I bet. I actually do have a couple of friends that live in T Town. I have a couple of friends that live over there in T Town. They keep telling me how beautiful it is and really how good the food is. I heard the food is really good down there. Denny Chimes, yep. Ain't no strip clubs in Tuscaloosa. Shit, tell that to Dwayne Haskins. And tell that to Deshaun Watson. I heard Deshaun Watson after the national championship, he went to Tuscaloosa, and he actually was trying to go to a strip club, but then he didn't. I don't know. I think he had like a friend that was in Tuscaloosa that he was meeting up. Tried to go to a club, didn't really like they were seeing, so they went to a bar, and then they met Ryan Anderson, and then them and Ryan Anderson was supposed to fight. I heard it was some crazy story like that was going on there with Deshaun Watson. Yeah, I've been to Atlanta. I've been to Atlanta a couple times, Iceberg. I've been to Atlanta a couple times. Beautiful, great food. You know what? Y'all might have to come. Y'all might have to come if y'all want to. If y'all want some of the best wings, best pizza, come to Buffalo. We got some good ass wings over here, man. Okay, that's cool. I'm seeing a lot of you guys. A lot of you guys are from the South. Love it. Yep. Well, we have a lot of we have a lot of wing spots over here in Buffalo. We got a lot of wing spots over here. Mm. Hmm. Yeah, we got a lot of wing spots over here. Okay. I mean, look, it just feels like I'm getting a history lesson over here. Okay, I see. Hmm? Okay, I got you, Cody. Got you, Cody. Bama's backup is Bryce Young, true freshman. He's talented. He's talented. Not ready yet, but he's talented. Bryce All State Young. Hold on for a second. Oh god. Oh. Yeah, you can take a tour of the house, man. Oof. Only reason why I had to move because it was just getting way too hot. Oh my god. Ooh, it was way too hot down there. All right. Bryce Young. Bryce Young, extremely talented. Um, I pray to God I hope he's ready. I really do. He's extremely talented, man. He's got the arm strength. He's got the pocket awareness. He's got the IQ. Um, the one thing that pissed me off about this year was the fact that we ran literally nothing but RPOs and screen passes, and he just handed the ball off to the running backs. We never really gave Bryce Young the proper time to kind of develop and to see if he's gotten better on a weekly basis. And he was in the game a lot. Like normally Alabama was blowing people out. He'll come in the second half, but we just didn't give him those opportunities. So it's hard to say if he's going to get better. Obviously, from last year, people look at Spencer Rattler. We look at him as an example. He had a lot of touches. He had a lot of snaps. So we all thought that Spencer Rattler, based off what we saw from him last year, that he was going to have the experience to take the team over. With Bryce Young, it's kind of like, well, Steve Sarkisian's gone, which is the primary recruiter. The primary recruiter for Bryce Young was Steve Sarkisian. He's going to be gone next year. So now you bring in an entirely brand new offense, which Bryce Young has to kind of learn now. So it really is hard to say if he's going to be ready next year. I will say this though, is that if he is ready, if he can learn the playbook, if he can take over the team, Bryce Young is going to be effective. He's going to be the best quarterback Alabama's ever had. It's a possibility. Now I like Texas quarterback. I like Thompson. Thompson's a really good quarterback, and I think that Steve Sarkisian, I think, will probably already fall in love with that guy. Will Bryce Young transfer? I think that's really up to. Well, of course, it's his decision, but I think his parents are going to have the most influence in that. So if his parents just believe in Nick Saban, if they like Nick Saban, if they like kind of what they've seen, what the coaches have done with the son, then I think he'll stay. But if they don't like the direction that Bryce Young's going in, and they believe that Steve Sarkisian is just the best guy, for him as far as development, um, then I think he'll transfer. Now again, he can enter the transfer portal. Texas might not even pick him up. Another team will probably pick him up. Um, so he if he goes to the transfer portal, he might not even get what he wants. Is Mac Jones a first round quarterback, and can he scramble? Mac Jones, I do believe, is a first round quarterback. I don't believe he's a top 5 or top 10 quarterback. I do believe he's a late first round quarterback. I think he's one of those prototypical pocket passers that has all the tools you need. But I think the one thing that is kind of holding him back is it is his scrambling ability. He can run. I mean, he's faster than Tua. I think Tua is more elusive, but Mac Jones he's actually faster than Tua Tagovailoa, but he doesn't really use his legs a lot. But I do believe that Mac Jones is a first round quarterback, just not a early or mid. He's more of a mid to late first round quarterback. Yeah, he's done. If Mac Jones goes to the Jets, or if he goes to the Jaguars, or if he goes to, let's say, the who's another bad team? He goes to, like, even the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears just made the playoffs, which I don't know how in the hell they did, but they made the playoffs. If he goes to the Chicago Bears with Matt Nagy as their head coach, Mac Jones is done. But if Mac Jones goes to the Colts, or if he goes to the Falcons, or if he goes to the Panthers, and the Falcons is probably the only team in this list that just doesn't have the culture that I think Mac Jones needs to be in a place where the culture is established, that has proper mentorship, that has the coaching staff that knows how to develop Mac Jones. He needs to be in the best environment possible in order for him to be successful. Detroit. I mean, Detroit can get it done. Matt Patricia's fired. Matthew Stafford will be a great mentor. Um, they need a proper foundation. I think Mac Jones needs to be in a place where the foundation's already built. If anything, I think Detroit's going to get Trey Lance, and Trey Lance is in that same realm as well. But I think Trey Lance has just more upside. Trey Lance is in that Josh Allen realm where the upside is just it's incredible compared to just Mac Jones, who, Mac Jones, what you see from Mac Jones, that's what you're going to get in the NFL. What you see from Mac Jones is what you get. What you're seeing right now is Mac Jones upside. And it's not a bad thing. We've seen quarterbacks like Kirk Cousins and Gardner Minshew and Matt Ryan and Tom Brady. We've seen these quarterbacks, and we've seen the best of what they can offer. Kyle Trask is going in the second round. And it's not really his fault, Aaron. Um, but Kyle Trask has some great tools. He's 6'5", 240. He's a big boy. He's in that same realm as Mac Jones, but I think Mac is more developed. Mac Jones goes through his progressions like it's second nature. Like if his first read isn't there, he doesn't just stare down the first read. He immediately goes to either the check down, or he just goes through the rest of his progressions. Mac Jones goes through his progressions like it's second nature. You don't need to remind Mac Jones, hey, if that read's not there, make sure to do this or make sure to do that. Mac Jones will just he'll have it down packed. And it's actually amazing because before Tua got hurt, Mac Jones was so raw. And then after Tua, a couple of weeks later, Mac Jones just turns out to be this quarterback that looks like Superman out there. And it's like, what the hell happened? Where did this guy come from? It's actually kind of crazy how Mac Jones just kind of picked things up on the fly. But Kyle Trask, I think, is a little bit more raw than Mac Jones. I think Kyle Trask has a strong arm. He's a big dude. Doesn't really go down easily. But I think Mac Jones is just a little bit more developed. And I think that these pocket passers, they're just not going to go. They're not going to go high in the first round anymore. I think the Trevor Lawrences, the Justin Fields, the Trey Lances, these mobile, athletic, big guys, they're going to get taken in the first round compared or any quarterback that just has that athleticism to him. they're just going to get took in the first round compared to these kind of slow prototypical guys. I'm going to go with Devontae Smith. And Devontae Smith, I just feel like he's proven more. I feel like Devontae Smith has done way more for the team than Mac Jones has. And Mac Jones has had a phenomenal year. But you take Mac Jones out and put Bryce Young in, Alabama doesn't even skip a beat. Alabama doesn't skip a beat if Bryce Young's in the game. I actually think Bryce Young will have his struggles, but Bryce Young will pick things up quickly in a hurry. You take Devontae Smith away from that team, that offense struggles. And the offensive line is great. The running game is great, but the receiving game is not there. The receiving game with Mechie and you got Billingsley, but Bolden is kind of average. Baker needs more experience. Thua Jones-Bell needs more experience. Trayshawn Holden needs more experience. Like, this is a very young Alabama receiving core. And Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle, those guys have proven to be the guy, to be your number one options. And when Jalen Waddle was hurt, Devontae Smith had to step up and be in a bigger role that Devontae Smith hasn't been in his entire career at Alabama. And not only has he taken the challenge, he's exceeded everyone's expectations. He's the best. He's not only the best receiver in college football, he's arguably the best player in college football. So you have to give that Heisman Trophy to Devontae Smith. If they give it to Mac Jones, I will be upset, not because Mac Jones doesn't deserve the reward, but because the Heisman committee has proven that it's a quarterback award. If he wins, it's a quarterback running back award. Because let's be honest, there's a lot of defensive players that should have won the Heisman. There's a lot of there was the one year where I think the Ohio State offensive guard, he honestly should have won the Heisman Trophy. Like, there's a lot of years where these where you have these positions that are either not a running back or quarterback, that those positions should have won the Heisman, but they didn't, because people look at the value of the running back and the quarterback position, and they value those positions so damn much that it's hard not to really place them as the winner. So yeah, if Mac Jones wins the Heisman Trophy, then yeah, I'm going to be pissed off, because they just proven that it's a quarterback running back award. I'm good, Alabama football fan. How are you, man? Yeah, and Amari Cooper, I don't remember if he was part of the Heisman conversation. I know he won the Biletnikoff Award, but Amari Cooper tore it up. Amari Cooper had like 1,700 receiving yards. Amari Cooper was the number one option, and he made that entire offense single-handedly, made that offense better. If Amari Cooper wasn't on that football team, Alabama not only doesn't go to the college football playoff, they don't go to the SEC championship game, in my opinion, if it wasn't for Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper single-handedly made that offense better than what it actually was. You had the ground game, the offensive line was good, but you had one receiving threat. The only receiver that you had was Kevin Norwood. And Kevin Norwood clearly was just a number two, if not a number three receiver. Amari Cooper made that offense better than what it actually was. And Amari Cooper wasn't even in the conversation. I think he actually was in the Heisman. I think he actually was a Heisman finalist, but I don't even think he had a vote. I think he had like maybe one vote or two. Yeah, Orlando Pace was a monster. Orlando Pace might have been the best offensive line prospect of all time. Of all time. Orlando Pace probably is the best college football offensive lineman of all time. Probably should have won the Heisman, but guess what? He's a tackle. If he was a quarterback or a running back, he probably would have won the Heisman Trophy. But because he's a tackle, you're not going to get that value. You're not going to get it. You're probably going to be in the conversation. You're probably going to be a finalist, but you're not winning the trophy. Okay, Amari finished third. Orlando Pace was a former offensive tackle. He's a Hall of Fame offensive tackle. Used to play for the Rams, but was a phenomenal lineman back in college. Exactly. I mean, the fact that he coined a phrase that still is running to this day, that's popular still to this day, and Orlando Pace didn't even win the Heisman is just like it's crazy. But guess who's winning Heisman's? Quarterbacks and running backs. And it's only those positions. It's quarterbacks and running backs that are winning the Heisman Trophy. Like you create a stat. There's a stat name after you. That's just crazy. Yeah, that's gonna be a good game, Crimson. Georgia and Clemson's gonna be amazing, man. Georgia and Clemson's it's gonna be amazing next year, man. I can't wait for that game. Can't wait for it. And we're gonna find out if Georgia's for real. We're gonna find out if Kirby Smart can get over the hump because if you can't beat Georgia, it's a bad sign, man. It's a bad sign. It is not gonna be because of their defense. If they lose to Clemson, it's gonna be because of their offense. It's gonna be because of their inability to establish a clear cut offense that can get you over the hump. I think Crimson said Charlotte, Paul. Yeah, 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 SG. It's just if the problem with Derrick Henry back in 14 was just it was just TJ Yeldon. I mean, again, TJ Yeldon, he didn't do anything wrong, but clearly Derrick Henry was the better running back. Clearly was the better running back. But because what TJ Yeldon did the last couple of years, he was the guy. John Elway is definitely he's underappreciated, man. The fact that Elway's not even in the conversation for best quarterback of all time is kind of ridiculous to me. It's like, yeah, we got all these new quarterbacks and they're breaking records like it's crazy, but Elway was ahead of his time, man. Elway was just ahead of his time. If Elway was playing in today's game, Kenyon Drake could not catch a break at Alabama. I swear. Kenyon Drake could not catch a break at all at Alabama. Listen, I think I think Tom Brady's the go-to man, but damn, it's like you look at some of the most like unforgotten legends like Dan Marino, John Elway, like quarterbacks that were way ahead of their time that they just played in the wrong era, but still put up the stats that they did. They should definitely be that GOAT conversation. I'm gonna go with damn, that's actually a tough question. I'm gonna go with Najee Harris, Devontae Smith, only because I feel like that duo was way more developed compared to. I mean, Derrick Henry was a sophomore, Yeldon was a junior, but he wasn't a clear cut guy. Amari Cooper, of course, was the guy, but I feel like Najee Harris and Devontae Smith, those are two damn near Heisman finalists at this point. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, and it's like, how in the hell can you not start Henry back in 2014 after what he did to Oklahoma in that 2013 game, and then he comes back the next year, has a pretty decent season, goes into Ohio State, and he plays his ass off another game in the same bowl game, the Sugar Bowl. Crazy. Yeah, Miami's going to be a very interesting game because Miami. Now, here's the funny thing about this, Crips, and is that there were a lot of Miami fans that were talking crap. A lot of Miami fans were talking crap. When I made my Leonard Taylor commitment video, that when he committed to Miami, there was a lot of Miami fans that said, "Just wait till next year. Miami's gonna smoke Alabama." And I'm like, "Hey, I'm just gonna let y'all talk in the comments, man. Y'all have y'all opinions. That's gonna be a fun time. That's gonna be a fun time to have leading up to that game. I can't wait for that." I think Bama has a top 3 offensive line. They're not that far from Clemson. Alabama's offensive line is not that far, especially now that Landon Dickerson's hurt. Landon Dickerson, of course, had a knee injury, so I think with him out and Chris Owens out, definitely not that far from Clemson. I feel like we kind of, at least for me, I feel like I really I feel like I overestimated Clemson's offensive line. We're so used to Clemson having the dominant offensive lines, but you actually kind of take a look at it, they're not that good compared to what we've seen from. They're not that good from what we've seen from them. I feel like they just dominated their competition, which was ACC competition, and I like Clemson. I think they have a bunch of promise, and I feel like they'll be better next year. But I think Alabama's offensive line is just they're not that far from Alabama's offensive line, but Bama clearly has a better offensive line right now than Clemson. Yeah, 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 Taraj. If Justin Fields has another game kind of close to what he did against Clemson, Ohio State will win big. And I think you have to. I think taking into consideration too, if Ohio State's defensive line can win the battle against Alabama's offensive line, and then Justin Fields can have the type of game he did in the passing game, it's going to be a blowout if that's going to happen. But obviously we'll see. Yeah, Ohio State. That's one thing they've always been good at. Is that they just have so much depth on their offensive line. They have so much damn depth in their offensive line. Their backups are just as good as anybody else in the country. It could be Matt. Definitely could be. This offensive line is it's a really really this offense. Both these offenses are capable of definitely scoring in the 40s. I love Ohio State's defensive line, but then they're going against Alabama's offensive line. I like Alabama's defense, but then you're going against Ohio State's offense and with their offensive line. Like this game has the capability of being a 44 to 42 game where potentially a field goal can damn near win the game. And one thing Alabama actually has an advantage of that no one thought that Alabama will have an advantage in is the kicking game. And Ohio State doesn't have a bad kicking game, but Alabama, in my opinion, has a slight advantage at the kicking game, which is actually kind of crazy. Because if you would have told me last year that Alabama's kicking game would actually have an advantage, I would call, I would say that you're just drunk. My score prediction for the game, I got Ohio's bias me. I'm gonna say this because I'm not trying to make Alabama fans bad. Bias me is saying Alabama's gonna win the game 45 to 41. Unbiased me is saying Ohio State's gonna win the game 42 42 to 38. Ohio State. If you're asking how Justin Fields got hurt, Blake, Justin Fields he got hit by Skalski on his rib. Skalski went head first, hit him right in the rib, and I think he actually might have broke his rib. To be honest, he actually might have broke one of those ribs. I think Ohio State gets more stops. I think Ohio State's defensive line is just better than Alabama's offensive line. And I feel like the one weak point is Chris Owens. Chris Owens is the one weak point on the offensive line that we've kind of seen before how Chris Owens can kind of get overpowered a little bit compared to Leonard Dickerson. So I feel like Ohio State can probably exploit that. I think Ohio State just gets more stops because I think Ohio State's defensive line I think is just a little bit more better. Um, and again, Alabama's defensive line, I just don't trust it. I think in pass rushing situations, I like Alabama's defensive line in pass rushing situations. I don't like Alabama's situations when it comes to the run game. We've seen this Alabama defensive line get pushed around before. So I have more faith in Ohio State's defensive line to get the job done more than Alabama's defensive line to kind of get that job done. Yeah, Crimson, don't remind me of that defense, dude. 2019 was horrible. It was horrible. And I think the crazy part is that for anybody else, it was a good defense. But for us, as far as Alabama fans, it was one of the worst defenses that Alabama easily, easily the worst defense that Nick Saban's ever had. And it's crazy because the 2014 defense was just as bad, but at least they didn't get embarrassed the way that Alabama's defense got embarrassed. I mean, every situation you can imagine, it happened. I mean, you had a quarterback rush for 200 yards. You had three guys throw for 300 yards. You had Joe Burrow that pretty much did a Joe Burrow on us. I mean, Bo Nix and Auburn put up 48 points against us. I mean, it was that 2019 Alabama defense was garbage, and we all know Mac Jones threw two pick sixes, but still, the fact that you allowed Bo Nix and that offense to have to score 35 points on you is embarrassing. It's embarrassing. I hated Alabama's 2019 defense. I miss JK, man. I don't because we got the wrong Scott. We got the wrong Scott, Aaron. We got the wrong Scott. I miss JK with the passion. We got a kicker, but we don't. It's crazy. It's like for years we've always been good at the punter position, but we never been good at the kicking position. Now we're actually good at the kicking position, but we suck at the punting position. It's just crazy how it works. We just can't be complete. I think Devontae Smith, Matt, just going back to your original question, I had to scroll up because I missed your question. I think Devontae Smith is going to smoke Shaun Wade. I really do believe it. And I think the reason why is because Shaun Wade is not an outside corner. And I really don't know why they try to put him as an outside corner. He's not an outside corner. Shaun Wade is a nickel guy. He's a guy that you put in the nickel. He's a guy that you can send you can send him as an extra defender, as an extra edge rusher coming off the edge. He's really good in the run game, and most importantly, he's good against any slot player or any tight end. He's a great matchup when it comes to going against tight end and those slot guys. Against outside guys, Shaun Wade has not done a damn thing all year long. He's had some interceptions, but do not let the stats mislead you. If anyone has actually watched the tape, Shaun Wade as an outside corner is not good at all. They have really they've put, and it's not his fault. Shaun Wade the nickel. You just put him in an unnatural position. In the NFL, they're not going to use him as an outside corner. They're going to use him as a nickel. So yeah, that's a mismatch. That's more of a mismatch than Chris Olave going against uh Pat Sertan. Ben, I hope so. Ben, I hope so. Like I said, the bias me will always root for Alabama. Of course, I gotta stay unbiased. This is my personal opinion, and who knows? Things will probably change. Things will probably change. I do hope that we can beat Ohio State. I really do. But if we don't beat Ohio State, I still think this is going to be a successful year. If my expectation was for this team to go to the national championship, or I'm sorry, my expectation was this team just to go to the playoffs. So the fact that we're in this position the way we are, and this is our rebuilding year. This is Alabama's rebuilding year. I'm proud of this team, and I'm happy about it. And I'm happy about it. I'm actually more. I actually pissed off when we don't win the national championship next year. But this year definitely exceeded my expectations. Uh, all right, Cody, man. Thank you so much for viewing. Thank you so much for viewing the show, man. Hopefully, you guys. Hopefully, you'll be back next time I stream. And by the way, guys, thank you guys so much for stopping by, viewing it. Like I said, I know I don't got the best quality in the world, but just thank you guys so much for viewing. You guys don't have to be in here, and we're actually in a career high right now. We got 85 people up in 86 people, and it's actually going up more, man. We've been streaming for more than 2 hours too. So yeah, thank you guys so much for stopping by the stream. Oh. Oh yeah, we can talk some NFL football. Like I said, we can talk about anything you guys want to talk about, as long as it's not anything inappropriate. Yeah, we because as long as it's not anything inappropriate, man. We can talk about it. I got to figure out how to do that, Crimson. I got to figure out how to do like the stream yard. I got to figure out how to like set all that stuff up and Collins stuff like that. That's coming pretty soon. I can guarantee you that. I'm actually working on that really soon. I gotta learn how to do the stream yard. But yeah, yeah, as soon as I learn how to do the stream yard, yeah, we'll definitely do more of that stuff on. I think yeah, this is like only my third time live streaming, so yeah, as soon as we get all that stuff figured out, yeah, we'll definitely do that. I think the next live stream, I think I'm gonna do a stream yard too. I think I won't do it now because I'm probably gonna get off in a little bit because I'm actually feeling a little bit tired. But yeah, we're definitely gonna get the stream yard set up. Yeah. I don't think I'm gonna do. I don't think I'm gonna be doing it now, Bobby. But definitely appreciate you for stopping by the live stream, dog. Paul, either one. I mean, Clemson or Alabama, Clemson or Ohio State. I wanted to go against both. Either one, man. I think Bama fans really just wanted either one because we lost. I mean, we lost to them in 2014, and Ohio State fans still talk about it to this day. And then obviously, what happened to Clemson in 2018, Bama fans will never ever forget about that. Derrick Henry, my goodness gracious, Derrick Henry needs to win the Heisman Trophy. Not the Heisman Trophy. Well, Derrick Henry has a Heisman Trophy. Derrick Henry needs to win the MVP. Derrick Henry for MVP, man. 2,000 yards, uh, fifth right now all time in rushing yards, at least in a season. Please give that man the MVP. I love Josh Allen. I'm a huge Bills fan. I love Josh Allen. I love Aaron Rodgers. I love Patrick Mahomes. But Derrick Henry deserves that award. He deserves it. Yeah, fuck Patrick Beverly. Crimson. I'm a Clippers fan, and fuck Patrick Beverly. I hate Patrick Beverly. I've never liked Patrick Beverly. Is that what fans predict the game to be, Blake? Is that the percentage of the fans going with? Rudolph looked pretty good. Rudolph looked pretty good. I think you actually make a good point there, Mega. I mean, Rudolph looked pretty good. Now Ben Roethlisberger, just before Ben Roethlisberger, I think a couple weeks ago looked pretty good. But the Steelers have lost four out of the last five games, and it's just it's Ben Roethlisberger just hasn't really looked right over the last second half of the year. So I don't know. I don't know. I think they're gonna go with Ben. I think they rested him down. Maybe he just needed some rest. He is a big boy, and obviously he's getting old. So maybe they just need to rest him down. But yeah, I don't know, man. The Steelers they've been depleted on the defensive side of the ball. They need that offense to step up if they want to get to where they want to be. Yeah, I try to forget that Clemson game, but every time I look at every time, let's say I'm trying to watch like an old national championship of Alabama, like I remember last week, I looked up Alabama versus Notre Dame. What was in my recommendations? Alabama versus Clemson, and all you see is Justin Ross, a local Alabama native that should have came to Alabama, uh, just make a one-handed catch over over Savion Smith, and you know, still to this day, man, still to this day, I just can't believe we got blown out 44 to 16. Yeah, Patrick Beverly is a bum. Patrick Beverly is a bum. I don't like him. Yeah, I can guard LeBron James. Yeah, okay. I've always said this. When ever since Ezekiel Elliott held out and he went to Cabo and he came back, Ezekiel Elliott just didn't look. I don't know. I don't know what's been going on with Zeke. Ever since he held out, he just has not been the same player. He's looked slow. Like people just thought, people just kind of just threw that on the rug. Like his acceleration, his burst, it just went away. His long term speed, like when was the last big Ezekiel Elliott run? Yeah, I think the last big run he had was like 30 something yards. Like where are the 70-yard runs and the 80-yard runs he had his first couple of years? All of a sudden he comes back as soon as he got his money. Ezekiel Elliott, he just looks slower and slower and slower every single year. He just looks a little overweight to me. I don't know. It could be because of COVID and it could be because of injury. It's just I don't know. Ezekiel Elliott has not looked the same. Yeah, yeah, I agree. It just seems like he also is just lacking motivation as well. It just seems like he's just lacking motivation. Oh, what's going on, DJ man? Thank you so much for stopping by the stream. What's up, bro? Good game. Yeah, man. Yeah, can't wait for the Alabama Ohio State game, man. I cannot wait for that game. We're also going to be streaming that game as well. So any of you guys want to stop by? Of course, I can't really actually live stream the game, but I will be just having a watch party. So you guys want to stop by the stream? Just if you guys want to talk about anything you want, even during the game, that is absolutely fine. So if you guys want to stop by the stream, which will be on Monday, I'm probably going to set the stream an hour before the game starts so we can just chat it up and we can just get it going then. And then by the game comes on, we'll just have a good time then. But yeah, I'll be live streaming during the football game. Yep. Yep. Alabama definitely has his work cut out when it comes to Ohio State. I would say the exact same thing for Ohio State. You know what? For A&M's sake, you better hope Kellen Mond doesn't come. I mean, for me, I want Kellen Mond to come back. Kellen Mond's not a bad quarterback. He's not a bad quarterback, but he's in that same realm as Ian Book. He's gonna beat the mediocre football teams. He's gonna look good against the mediocre football teams, but when it comes to going against elite competition, he's gonna string. When it comes to elite competition, he's going to play. He's gonna play. He's gonna have a mediocre performance. They need. Now who knows? Maybe a Haynes King can step up and be that guy. Who knows? Maybe they can go out there and maybe they can recruit and Quinn Ewers to be their quarterback next year. They need a different quarterback that can go on there and step up because the way that Kellen Mond plays, it's not suited to beating Alabama. So I hope that he comes back. But obviously we're gonna find out about his decision. Yeah, DJ's a pocket passer, but that man, he's a big boy. 6'5", 250 pounds, has a rocket cannon of an arm, and he's working with Tony Elliott, which you know what? You know what? I'm sorry, Crimson, because I want to talk about DJ. Why in the hell was no one taking Tony Elliott? Everybody wants to go after Alabama's offensive coordinators, but they don't want to go at Clemson. Tony Elliott is a mastermind offensive coordinator. He's one of the best offensive minds in all the sport. Why is no one going after Tony Elliott? Like, damn, like everyone is so focused on trying to steal all the of getting rid of Alabama's coaches, but they never want to go after Clemson's coaches. Tony Elliott is one hell of an offensive coordinator. If Derrick Henry doesn't win the MVP, it's the same. It's going to be the same thing I say with the Heisman. It's just if Derrick Henry doesn't win the damn MVP award, it's then the MVP award. It's a quarterback award. It's simply just a quarterback award because Derek. I mean, listen, Aaron Rodgers put up some amazing stats. 44 touchdowns. I think there was a crazy stat that he has more touchdowns than the Green Bay Packers actually had punting the football. But how rare it is for a running back to not only get 2,000 yards rushing, But to kind of do it in the way in the fashion that he did, if it wasn't for Derrick Henry, the Titans are not making the playoffs. The Titans are a 7 or 6 win team without him. So just how valuable he was to that football team should just make him the Heisman alone. Again, Aaron Rodgers, what he's been doing with Green Bay. He's been doing it for over a decade. He's been carrying Green Bay for a decade, so it's nothing new. What Patrick Mahomes did this year, it's nothing new. Now Josh Allen, no one expected, including myself, no one expected Josh Allen to do the stuff that he did. So really, it should be Josh Allen and Derrick Henry for the MVP because of how valuable they actually were to their teams. Yeah. I think that obviously it's a rumor, Taraj, but I do hope that Urban Meyer goes to the NFL. I think obviously Urban Meyer, he misses coaching. Urban Meyer misses coaching. He misses it. He does not want to just sit on the sideline. He just wants to be an analyst. I think eventually of course he's doing his thing, but he wants to coach. I think the thing that's been holding Urban Meyer back is obviously health related issues, but dealing with recruiting and dealing with these kids, having keeping up with their GPAs and dealing with all these different issues and responsibilities that you just don't have to deal with it as an NFL coach. That can be extremely stressful, and some people can handle it. Some people just can't handle it. And Urban Meyer is one of those guys that has haven't. He's proven he can handle it, but again, his health just kind of holds him back. So I feel like if he goes to the NFL, it's a more healthy, it's a more, it's it would be more healthy for him, not just from a mental standpoint, but from a physical standpoint as well. And not to mention that if he does go to the Jacksonville Jaguars, because that's the team that obviously everybody that for some reason he's tied to kind of going with. If he goes to Jacksonville, it's a small market. There's not a lot of huge expectations. It's a small market and he'll be back in Florida, which is very very close to Gainesville. So I think that Urban Meyer going to the NFL would be really, really it would be really good if Urban Meyer goes to the NFL. It'll be really good for especially when it comes to NFL ratings because people want to see, what if Urban Meyer ever went to the NFL? A lot of people speculated, or a lot of people kind of wondered, what if, it's these one is like, what if Nick Saban went back to the NFL? What if Urban Meyer what goes to the NFL? What if Lincoln Riley goes to the NFL? Well, if Urban Meyer now goes to the NFL, a lot of people are going to check in and see, can he handle it? And it can boost it, and it can not only boost up the Jaguars ratings, it's going to boost up the NFL's ratings. Josh Jobe. I think Josh Jobe is going to be on Garrett Wilson. If they put Garrett Wilson in the slot, then it's going to be either Brian Branch or Malachi Moore, especially if they're in their dime packages. But if Garrett Wilson, I don't know, I'm gonna have to look at more of the tape. But if they put Garrett Wilson, if he's more of an outside receiver, then Josh Job's going to be covering him. There's going to be some situations, of course, where of course Paxton Tan's going to get his shot, but the primary guy is probably going to be Josh Job. Michigan. Oh my, the Michigan. Oh, Michigan. I just don't know. I just don't know, man. Michigan. Oh, they haven't been Ohio State since 2011. And then Jim Harbaugh gets there, man. He hasn't won one game against Ohio State yet. He has. Oh my God, he has underachieved over there in Michigan. I mean, what everyone's shocked that people are not surprised that Tom Herman got fired. I, I'm surprised Michigan hasn't fired Jim Harbaugh yet, and I understand it's a cap issue, but Jesus, no problem, no problem, Taraj, man. Thank you so much for stopping by the stream, dog. Hope you'll be back again. I gotta fix that issue. All right, we got that fixed. There we go. There we go. Georgia fans are praying to God that Alabama wins it all. Yeah, Bama has a pretty underrated defense. They're not as good as they were in the past, but for how they started off, of course they start off really rough, but they got better over time. Bama has a pretty underrated defense. Appreciate that, Taraj Doc. Again, man, thank you so much for stopping by the stream. Christian Harris. I'm taking Christian Harris in a heartbeat. And Dylan Moses is not healthy. Of course, he's at least for this year. Dylan Moses is not healthy. He's not 100%, clearly. He even admitted that he's not healthy coming off a torn ACL, but Christian Harris has played amazing. He's played phenomenally well. Christian Harris has been amazing this year. I've been extremely impressed with how Christian Harris has developed, especially because a couple years ago he was playing as a cornerback in University Lab. He was a Cub, literally a Cub, playing for University Lab in Baton Rouge. Yeah, man. Urban Meyer just loved coaching. He loved developing players. You know what? Bill Belichick is a weird dude, man. Because Bill Belichick, he'll get somebody from Wendy's, and then he'll get somebody from Wendy's, and then automatically, you put him on, you put him on the defense, and all of a sudden that player will be an All Pro player. Like Bill Belichick is a weird dude, but yeah, Urban Meyer just loves coaching, man. He loves developing players, and he just loves seeing people succeed, man. Just a great dude. Yeah, Drew Sanders, man. Drew Sanders is he has a lot of promise, man. Former 5-star recruit, a lot of promise. He's actually been really good on special teams. He's been really good on special teams, man. I love Drew Sanders on special teams. But you know what? Guess who else was good on special teams? Mac Wilson, Reuben Foster, those guys are really good on special teams. Rashawn Evans. So who knows? But I think that's a good sign that Drew Sanders, I think again, because he could be complaining. I mean, he's a 5-star recruit. He could be complaining. He could be entering the transfer portal. Nope. He's taken his lumps. He's taken his role very, very to heart. And, Drew Sanders is going to be a good football player. I think that shows a lot of character and that shows a lot of heart. Uh, um, Clear best coach. I don't know, man, because Bill Belichick was so dominant. And it's not just because of Brady. It's just because no matter who he got, Bill Belichick can legit go to McDonald's, get the cash, get the person, get a cook. He can grab a cook and transform that dude into an all pro football player. I have never seen anything like Bill Belichick as far as how he's just developing players coming off the damn street. Like Bill Belichick has been by far the best coach in the league for 20 years. I don't know. I don't know if there'll be another Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick is a special head coach. Normally you'll see dudes that they'll have their crop of players and they're there for like maybe 4 or 5 years, and then all of a sudden the team falls apart. Bill Belichick has held it together for over 20 years. I don't know, man. I don't know if we're ever going to get another a clear cut coach like Bill Belichick. William, you got to give it away. You got to go. You got to give it to Will. Got to give it to Will. And I think the reason why you go to Will, I mean, the dude's leading the SEC in sacks. And not just that, but he's also leading the SEC in quarterback pressures. I don't know. I think Aziz Ojolari might have surpassed him because Aziz Ojolari had 3 sacks, and I think he had like count. Yeah, I think he had like 5 or 6 quarterback pressures against Cincinnati. But before that game, I mean, William Anderson was leading the SEC in quarterback pressures and sacks. I love Malachi Moore, and he's been a special ball hawk and a special playmaker. But William Anderson clearly is freshman of the year. Sermon's good. Sermon's good. Sermon's good. I don't think he's better than Najee Harris, but Sermon's good. Bill Belichick, yeah, Bill Belichick, yeah. It's actually crazy because I watched that Football Life when Bill Belichick was coaching. He was on that Brown staff, or when he was the head coach of the Cleveland Browns, and it's crazy how bad of a coach he kind of was, and how crazy talented that coaching staff was. But because of the situation that went on with Cleveland, and of course he did not do a good job with the Cleveland Browns, and he learned his stint, went to the Patriots, had Brady, and boom, took off. I mean, really, he had Bledsoe. I mean, people forget about Drew Bledsoe. He had Drew Bledsoe, and Drew Bledsoe was a Pro Bowl quarterback. And then after that, he had Tom Brady, and then he had that great defense. And then boom, they just took off from there. But yeah, but before he went to the Patriots, Bill Belichick definitely took his lumps. Yeah, the ACC did not have a good year in their bowl games. I don't know if we really should take bowl games that that seriously, because who knows? There was a lot. These games are now. I mean, they've always been exhibition games. They've always been exhibition games, but compared to how it was during the BCS era, people took bowl games seriously in the BCS era. And the college football playoffs, it's like there's no there just isn't anything there anymore. I mean, even for New Year's Six bowl games, it's just like you got people opting out left and right. It's like bowl games have just kind of lost their luster. So I don't know if we really should put too much stock into the ACC. I mean, of course, the ACC I do believe is the weakest conference, but I'm not gonna down them that much for something that we pretty much already know. Yeah, the Big 12 is undefeated, man. But you know what? Here's a funny stat about this. The Sun Belt is actually, I think the Sun Belt is 3-1 against the Big 12. So the Big 12 is undefeated in the bowl games, but the Sun Belt is 3-1 against them because Kansas State lost to a Sun Belt team. Iowa State, the runner-up to in the Big 12 to the Big 12 championship, they lost to Louisiana Lafayette. Or I'm sorry, no, I'm sorry, not to Louisiana Lafayette, to the Louisiana Raging Cajuns. And then I forgot the other team that lost to a Sun Belt team. The Sun Belt actually dominated the Big 12 conference. So that's actually pretty funny to actually kind of mention that. Big 12 were undefeated, but then you have to go back to what the Sun Belt did to the Big 12. That's actually kind of funny, man. No, not the Big Ten, not this year. Big Ten was not the Big Ten was horrible. The Big Ten is nah. You know what? No, let me take that back. The Big Ten is actually 3-1 right now in bowl games. I'm not too sure. The Big Ten doesn't have a bad record though. The Big Ten's actually had a pretty good record. Let me take that back. Yeah, Big Ten has. They're not bad. Not bad at all. Now it's not a bad look at what Ole Miss did to Indiana because Indiana was 11th in the country, and Ole Miss was a 4-win team that ended up just they won that game fair and square, so that's not a good look for them. But besides that, yeah, the Big Ten, they're not bad. I don't think they're better than the SEC though. Yep, Florida did get destroyed. Florida got destroyed by Oklahoma for sure. They got destroyed. Yeah, the Big Ten commissioner. Hopefully he learned his lesson, man. Because I mean, if Ohio State wins the national championship, then I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna lie to you. The MVP of this year has to go to the Big Ten commissioner because he dodged it. I mean, he was about to be the most criticized person in on the planet, man, because he screwed up. I mean, let's be honest. The Big Ten should have been played. They should have never canceled their season. Then he comes back. They play 6 games. They had to change their rule sets just for Ohio State to get to the playoffs. And then if they win the national championship, it's going it's gonna make it's gonna make their commissioner look like a damn genius. He's like, damn, why didn't any other conference do what we do? It's gonna make him look like a genius. But yeah, hopefully next year we have a way more smoother transition. Oh, hopefully we have a way more smoother transition. I hope we don't have any more cancel crap. You know what? I'm gonna be honest with you, Crimson. If Waddle never would have got hurt, I think the Heisman would have been Waddles. I think the Heisman just would have been Waddles. It could have went to what it could have it probably would have went to Mac, but in my opinion, it would have went to Waddle. Waddle is just so damn electric because you we can't forget, even though Waddle is so good in the receiving game, his best asset is his return game. The fact that he's the best returner and he's the best kick returner and the best punt returner on the team, and kind of the way we've used him in the running game, like Jalen Waddle probably would have won the Heisman honestly if he was healthy. Matter of fact, he actually was a Heisman contender before he even got hurt. He was a Heisman finalist before he got hurt. Now, I'm Rick. If Ohio State wins the national championship, they just win. They just win the national championship. I'm one of those guys that I'm not going to blame. I'm not going to blame. I'm not going to blame a team because they couldn't control it. Ohio State wanted to play. They wanted to play more than all those games. That's the Big Ten's fault. So if Ohio State beats Alabama, then they win the game. I'm not gonna come up here and just say, oh well, the reason why Alabama lost was because Ohio State Ohio State just played 6 games. I'm not gonna make that excuse at all. Ohio State wins, they win. Wait, why though, Rick? I'm actually curious why though. They did give up. They did give up 27 points to Rutgers. Oh God. I mean, maybe, but Justin. Here's the thing about this, Rick. Justin Fields had bad games. Like Justin Fields, despite the amount of games that he played, he still was considered a Heisman finalist. The reason why Justin Fields is out of the Heisman conversation is not because of the amount of games he's played. The reason why he's out of the Heisman conversation is because he's had bad games. He had a bad game against Indiana. He didn't have a good game against Northwestern, and that put him out the Heisman conversation. You played in 5 games. You had 2 bad games. That's the reason why you're out. It's not because of the amount of games you played. I mean, if Justin Fields was spot on for all those games he's played, including the conference championship, and then you still have time because you're still considered a finals. The votes are not in until after the playoff games are over. So if Justin Fields was just spot on for all those games, Justin Fields had a great chance of winning the Heisman, but he had 2 really bad games. Crimson, if Alabama wins it, I expect them to win the Heisman Trophy. Not the Heisman. I expect them to win the national championship next year. I mean, I'm going to keep saying this. This is the rebuilding year for Alabama. Like Alabama exceeded my expectations. I never expected them to make it to the national championship this year. They exceeded my expectations. If they win this national championship next year, and then with all the talent that they're coming back with next year, especially on the defensive side of the ball, Alabama should be the favorites to win the national championship next year. Now I get it. Mac Jones is gone. You lose your linemen. You lose Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle. But with all that talent that's coming in, and then with all the talent that's coming back on the defensive side of the ball, like next year, The defense is going to be the main. The defense is going to be the main star, not the offense. The defense is going to be back. Is going to go back to being the main star. So I actually do believe that if Alabama wins the national championship this year, next year they're going to be just as dangerous, if not more dangerous, because they're going to have a more balanced approach. They're going to have a dominant defense with a pretty good, solid offense, which has been Alabama football in the past. I mean, you never know. I mean, like I said, Oklahoma's going to be stacked next year. Ohio State's going to be really, really good. Clemson's going to be good with DJ Uiagalelei. Uh, Oregon, I think Oregon will be playing better. So, I mean, you never know. I mean, we've never had a back-to-back college football national champion um, since Bama. We haven't had a back-to-back national champion since Alabama. So, and that was back in 2011, 2012. So, it's a rare thing to happen nowadays because everyone is good. There's just not that one dominant football team. I think everyone's at this point, not everyone, but there's like 4 or 5 teams that have now kind of caught up to Alabama. So I mean, it's a possibility Alabama won't win the national championship. It's a possibility that they won't even make it to the college football playoffs, as we've kind of seen before. Oh no, Crimson, I'm not worried at all about the offense. And the reason why I'm not worried about the offense is because Nick Saban saw the blueprint. Nick Saban saw that blueprint. After the Oklahoma Sugar Bowl game, Nick Saban said enough. Well, not even then, because Alabama had Lane Kiffin. It was really after Johnny Manziel. After A&M with Johnny Manziel, and he saw that spread offense and what they did to us. Nick Saban automatically knew that if he did not adapt, he even said it. If he didn't adapt, he was going to get that Alabama was going to get left out the water. They were going to be left to dry. So because of Nick Saban and what he's done over the years of finding offensive coordinators with different offensive philosophies, Alabama's offense has gotten better. And Nick Saban is one of the best. He's one of the best coaches when it comes to adapting. So with Steve Sarkisian being gone, Nick Saban's going to find an offense coordinator, whether if it's Gates, whether if it's Bill O'Brien, whether if it's Hugh Freeze or Joe Brady or whoever the hell it's going to be, whoever's the offensive coordinator with the amount of rich talent. I mean, the offensive talent that we have, it's a gold mine with that talent. So any coordinator that comes here is going to have a gold mine. But I'm not worried at all about Alabama's offense. The one thing that I was worried about this year was Alabama's defense. Alabama's defense scared the crap out of me because I did not think I knew it was going to be a little bit more improved, but this was not championship level defense. I did not expect this team to have championship level defense. I expect this team to have championship defense next year. I expect that to happen. Bama doesn't need to have a phenomenal offense to a national championship. As long as they have a good offense with a championship defense, that's all they need in order for them to win a national championship. At least you tried, Buck. At least you tried. Yeah, Talia, man. Talia, he started off pretty good, and then had some rough stretches, man. But limited training camp, no spring ball. I think Talia will be better. I would like to see Talia do good though. I think that a lot of people kind of underestimated Talia. I know a lot of Bama fans were excited when he first came here. People thought he was going to be the immediate replacement. Obviously, it didn't happen. But yeah, I do hope that Talia kind of succeeds in Maryland. Yeah, man. Yeah, you're correct, Tony. Man, it's going to be a heavyweight fight. It's going to be one hell of a battle. Yep, I agree with you. He is more dynamic than Mac. It's going to be a show. It's going to be one hell of a show, man. And I can't wait for it. I can't wait to see what happens, man. I'm more worried about the offensive line than Trey Sermon. I mean, I know what Trey Sermon has to offer to the table, man. He's a physical running back. Doesn't go down for first contact to kind of formulate, and then he'll go. Trey Sermon's a good back. but it's not like he's like a Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey, or even a Derrick Henry type of back. He's a good back, but he's not that good in my opinion. I'm actually more worried about the offensive line. I'm one of those guys that I care more about what the offensive line does than what the running back does. So, if we can plug up the holes, then Trey Sermon's he's not going anywhere. If we can just plug up those holes. Pause. Oh yeah, Crimson. I always say this. I'll say it. I said it before, and I'll say it again, man. Bryce Young is the most talented Alabama quarterback that's ever walked through campus. He is the most talented quarterback that's ever walked through campus. The question is that can we develop him? We've showed so far we've had three quarterbacks, not one. We've had three quarterbacks that have walked through Alabama, and we've kind of in a way we've developed. Let's continue that streak. I think Bryce Young will be the fourth guy, even with Steve Sarkisian leaving. Oh hell yeah, man! Trey Sermon's one hell of a running back. He's one hell of a back, one hell of a running back for sure. It's going to be interesting to see what Najee Harris does, especially in the receiving game, because they're going to use Najee Harris in the receiving game. He's going to be a check down receiver. They're going to use him out as out wide. People really underestimate Najee Harris's receiving ability still to this day. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Najee Harris, if they actually kind of use him a lot more this game as a receiving threat. I can see that honestly. I can see Najee Harris going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. They need a running back. And Najee Harris he's more like Le'Veon Bell. He's a patient runner. He waits for those holes to kind of formulate. He has really, really he has a great burst. He's strong. You can line him out wide as a receiver, and he's just as good as a receiver as he is a running back. Najee Harris actually reminds me a lot of Le'Veon Bell. Now, at the end of the day, the Steelers need a quarterback too, because Ben Roethlisberger is getting older, man. He's like 39 years of age. So he's getting really, really old, and they do need a replacement for him. But if they do draft Najee Harris, I think that's some really good value because they do need a running game. I would go with Najee, and I would go with Najee only because Najee, I don't have to worry about fumble concerns. Travis Etienne, um, Travis Etienne, I think what you see from Travis is what you get. Well, I won't even say that. Both running backs, I think what you see from them is what you get. But Travis Etienne has fumble concerns. He has those fumble concerns, and it's been 3 years. I'm sorry, 4 years of fumble concerns. So I think that's the reason why I'm going to take Najee. Najee fumbled, I think, like once or twice in his career. We've obviously seen some fumble concerns from Travis Etienne. Yeah, yeah. Stroud's extremely talented, man. Stroud was actually a Elite 11 MVP. So when Justin Fields leave, man, it's gonna be very interesting to see if Stroud can take over the reins. Ohio State just shut his ass down. Travis Etienne's a good back, but Ohio State just shut his ass down, and it really just started with the up front. Ohio State's defensive line just completely shitted on Clemson's offensive line. That would be good to see Jalen Waddle to the Miami Dolphins. Obviously, Dolphins fans are still, they're still angry with Tua and they want him out, which is ridiculous in my opinion. Yeah, I really wanted to see Ohio State versus Michigan, and we all knew that Ohio State was going to kill Michigan, but just for traditional purposes, just to miss the game, it just, it just sucked. It definitely sucked missing out on that just that game. Again, we all know Ohio State was going to blow up Michigan, but just still, It's the biggest game from a rivalry standpoint of the year. Uh, um, I mean, I get it. A lot of people criticize Nick Saban for putting Jalen Waddle out as a returner. I understand that, but I mean, he's the best returner in college football. I mean, what else are you supposed to do? I mean, damn. I mean, you got to use him. I mean, he's the best returner in college. Trey Lance reminds me a lot of Josh Allen in a standpoint that he has a crap ton of upside, strong arm, extremely mobile, extremely strong, but raw, super super raw. Um, I really liked what he did in 2019 with when he only had one interception, but then he had the other game coming, and his lone game in 2020 it really showed kind of how raw he actually is. And I think that he's a guy that you need to put him on the right team. He's Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen really set the stamp. He really set the standard, man. Is you have to be on the right team with the right coaching staff with the right front office. You have to be there. You got to have the right front office and the right coaching staff. And if Trey Lance goes, let's say, to the New York Jets, Trey Lance is gonna fail. Trey Lance is gonna be out of the league in about a year. But if Trey Lance, let's say, goes to a good team with a great foundation and great culture, with a pretty good front office, with a good coaching staff, and with coordinators that can work with him and develop him, then Trey Lance is going to be successful. And it might not happen right away. It might not happen right away. You might have to wait until Trey Lance's third year until you actually get to see what everyone's talking about. Right? It took Josh Allen really 3 years for him to be where he's at. But Trey Lance is extremely talented. I think he's definitely one of those Josh Allen like project like quarterbacks, which I wouldn't be surprised at all that moving forward, you'll see a lot of quarterbacks that are just more as project big guys get drafted in the first round because of what Josh Allen was able to do this year. Yeah, like if you put Trey Lance with the Pittsburgh Steelers and you have him sit behind Ben Roethlisberger, you got Mike Tomlin, you got a great front office like that. That's an organization right there, that can actually develop Trey Lance, 2 to 3 years from now, and he could very well become the next franchise guy. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to go number one. I think it's going to be a lot. I think that now it's a conversation between Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence, while before it's just we all went Trevor Lawrence. I'm still gonna go with Trevor Lawrence only because he's 6'6", he's 230 pounds, he's probably a 4.6 runner. And I think because of what he's done his entire career at Clemson and pretty much starting, since his freshman year, I think just that hype alone, I think will get him drafted number one overall. But it's a conversation. I think what Justin Fields did to Trevor Lawrence or did to the Clemson Tigers, it's a conversation. It's a conversation now for who's going to go number one overall. Olave, I think, is going to go in the second round, even though he should go in the first. Chris Olave is a first round receiver. But because of this receiving draft class, and with Jamar Chase and Terrence Marshall and Devontae Smith and just so many other good, really, really good receivers, I think Chris Olave is going to get lost in the shuffle. Now, if Chris Olave has another really good performance against Alabama, then I think he can enter the first round conversation. Um, but Chris Olave, he is a first round receiver. He's just as good as those guys that I just mentioned. But I think because he doesn't really have the phenomenal statistics, and I don't really even know why, because he's at a big time program and we've seen him dominate some guys. I don't know if it's just his name or what, but Chris Olave is a first round receiver. He deserves to be in the conversation. Yeah. Garrett Wilson's extremely talented, man. I like Garrett Wilson. He's really talented, man. Um, I think he needs some more experience. I think there's some more things he needs to kind of work on a little bit. I think he needs to kind of work on when quarterbacks kind of jam him up a little bit. I think he kind of lacks that physicality. I think he kind of needs to work on that. But I think that Garrett Wilson is a very, very talented receiver. He could end up being a first round receiver. I mean, one thing Ohio State has done really well at the offense side of the ball, man, is that they know how to develop receivers, and they got a really, really good receivers coach. And the fact that Ohio State's actually bringing in more five-star talent at the receiving position is actually pretty scary. We didn't even have we even seen Julian Fleming this year? Any Ohio State fans in the chat? Have we even seen Julian Fleming? Julian Fleming was the number one receiver. I don't even think we've even seen Julian Fleming. That kid's gonna be scary, man. Like just think about that. I mean, you got Jackson Smith and Jigba and Chris Olave and not Chris Olave because I think he's going to be gone next year. But then you have Julian Fleming and Garrett Wilson, and then yeah, it's just I think they got another five-star receiver coming out of I think coming out of Washington. I think that Miggy, I'm not even going to pronounce his name, but that the kid from Washington, he's a five-star receiver. So man, Ohio State is loaded at the receiving position. Okay, Blake, I see you. I see you, Blake. Brian Hartline. I forgot Brian Hartline is the receivers coach. I thought it was somebody else. It's crazy, man, that all these guys that you just kind of grew up watching are now coaches and they're now old. Brian Hartline gave me headaches as a Bills fan when he was with the Dolphins. Oh, he started in the Big Ten championship. Okay, I didn't know that. That kid's gonna be scary, man. I'm telling you that right now. Julian Fleming is probably might be the best receiver on the team next year. That kid is scary. Yeah, it could be. I mean, Ohio State has a dangerous offensive line. They got a great running game, great quarterback, very good defensive line. I think the weak point is their secondary, in my opinion. But I mean, Ohio State, they're the closest thing to being a complete football team. I think a lot of people are kind of underrating Ohio State, man. I mean, it could be 2014 all over again. But I think one thing that I think Nick Saban's going to have this team prepared. I think they'll have the team prepared, and I think it's going to be a really, really good close football game. I don't think it's going to be one side where Bama's dominating for a half, and then Ohio State out of nowhere just comes out and they just obliterate Alabama in the second half, and then Alabama tries to fight back, and then it's 42-35. I don't think it's going to be like that. I think this is going to be a back and forth game. No, Devontae Smith is the best receiver in college football. I think it's Jamar Chase, Devontae Smith, and then I think you have that I think you have that other tier. I think that depending on where Justin Fields goes to, I think it's the same thing. Like I said earlier, if he's on the right team, if with the proper culture established, with the proper foundation, with the great front office, if Justin Fields is in that scenario, if he's in that situation, I think he's going to be fine. And it doesn't have to be like a Steelers organization or a Patriots, not a Patriots, but like a Buffalo Bills now or a Green Bay Packers type of situation. He just, like if he goes to the Carolina Panthers or if he goes to the Jets, as long as the Jets can establish a proper culture, that's what they were missing. They were just missing a culture. They missed a proper culture. As long as they can establish a proper culture, or the Jaguars can establish a proper culture, and get some guys that know how to develop some of these players, I think Justin Fields will be a phenomenal football player, but if it's the same crap that the Jaguars and the Jets have been dealing with over the years, then he's going to be a bust. He's going to be like Sam Darnold or Blake Bortles. I oh yeah, Urban Meyer. One thing about Urban Meyer is a player's coach. He's a player's coach, but he's also a nonsensical guy at the same time. And I feel like, I feel like that's a pretty good combination. Again, he's a guy that loves developing players. He's a guy that easily gets trust from his players. He gets the trust and the respect and love for his players. I think Urban Meyer will be a really really good football coach. I just think that with all the stress that he kind of had to deal with college, because college, it's more responsibility in college than you deal with the NFL. It messed up his health, but I feel like Urban Meyer will be a really really good NFL head coach. I think he's one of those guys that can make that transition to the college game, to the also to the NFL game as well. By the way, it's a lot of Ohio State fans in here, man. Thank you guys so much for again stopping by the stream, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree with you. I agree with you there, Nell. I think if Trevor Lawrence needs to go to the right coach. I don't think Trevor Lawrence is this guy, is this like this perfect god that everyone kind of claims he is. I think Trevor Lawrence has faults. Trevor Lawrence has some major faults to his game. He needs to go to the right coaching. If Urban Meyer takes control of him, Urban Meyer is going to make him a really good quarterback because Urban Meyer he's a nonsensical guy, but he's also a guy that knows how to establish a proper culture. Urban Meyer is a guy that's not he's not going to be manipulated and controlled by a general manager or by our owner. And I think that for Urban Meyer to take an NFL job, he needs to have his own stuff. He needs to take control. Maybe not be a general manager, but he needs to have some type of control, some type of authority. He's not going to be a puppet like Mike McCarthy is to the Dallas Cowboys and to Jerry Jones. So Urban Meyer if Urban Meyer becomes the head coach, if he gets his coaching staff, which again, Urban Meyer, he's one of the best coaches out there when it comes to really establishing a coaching staff, and establishing a culture. And if Trevor Lawrence falls to Urban Meyer is going to work that kid to wonders. Trevor Lawrence is going to be a phenomenal quarterback. Chance over Skip Bayless. I can't believe that Skip Bayless actually had the nerve to say that Andy Dalton's better than Dak Prescott. Skip Bayless, man. I'll say this, man. Skip Bayless, he does make great television. He comes with some crazy takes, but man, he is entertaining to watch. Some crazy ass takes, but he is entertaining as hell to watch. I hope so. I hope so, Matthew, that Jalen Waddle does come back. I just don't know. It's like you come off of a fractured foot, and then this is his first week of practicing. I just don't know. Now, if he would have came back last week in practice, then I would have been like, yeah, this is like a 90% chance that he plays. I'm not. I'm just. It's like during this, and I've been asked that a lot this live stream. But it's like the more and more people keep asking me about it, it's like it's like the less I'm kind of like. It's like the less confident I'm kind of just feeling that he's gonna play. I don't even think he's gonna be playing. I'm gonna be honest. I appreciate that, Brad. I think Ohio State's defense is gonna have the upper hand. I think Ohio State's defensive line. I think the key to winning this game is winning in the trenches, and I think Ohio State just has that advantage right now over Alabama's defensive line. What is the spread? I need to figure out what the spread is going to be. I appreciate that, Taraj. Oh, thank you, Neil. Appreciate the love that you guys are providing me, man. Really, really appreciate it. Again, I know it's late, and again, this is literally my third time live streaming too. So just the fact that you guys are just coming here and just showing love and support, man, I appreciate it. Yeah, it's like the one thing that I'm just kind of just like worrying is that if Jalen Waddle plays, it's like how much will he play? Because the dude's coming off of he's coming off of a broken foot, and you don't want to risk you don't want to risk his career. You just don't want to risk his career. So if I was Nick Saban, I wouldn't play him. I wouldn't play him at all. But you know, that's up to Jalen. That's up to Nick Saban. That's up to Waddle too. Because at the end of the day, he is playing at the end of the day. And if he wants to play, and if Nick Saban just gives him the green light, then especially if the medical staff gives him the green light, then he's just good to go, I guess. Yeah, Crimson, you asked like 50 times for me to stream too. I think that's for me, I don't know, I'm a lazy guy. So like when I finally just found the motivation to just live stream, like now I'm actually loving. Uh, I really do like live stream. I like interacting with you guys. And again, I'm not the greatest talker in the world. I stutter a lot. I got a stutter problem, of course, but it is what it is. It is what it is. But yeah, as soon as I figure out this live streaming stuff, and we can do StreamYard, and we can do call-in shows like that, we're just gonna have a great time. One of my goals is to have a 24-hour stream. That's one of my goals is to have a 24-hour live stream with you guys. That is definitely one of my goals, and I know I'm gonna regret that for the rest of my life. But you only live once. I appreciate that, Rick. I don't even think I can do it. I'll try to do the 24 hours, man, but I'm gonna be honest with you. I'll probably be knocked out on live. I will be asleep probably on live. I mean, technically I would be live streaming for 24 hours, even if I was like asleep, but the live will be on, but I don't know if I will be up that long. But I'll try. I'll try to do it. Thank you so much, Blake. I think the playoffs should be expanded. I'm one of those people that just does not want the committee to decide who's going to be in the playoffs because clearly the playoff committee, they don't know what the hell they're doing. They don't follow the criteria. They pretty much base off of assumptions. I've been one of those people that thought that 2017 that Ohio State should have got into the playoffs. I thought Ohio State should have got in over Alabama in 2017. I thought that Penn State should have got over Ohio State in 2016, the year prior. Um, it's just like and the reason why they did it is not because they followed the list. They just based it off because they thought that Ohio State was better than Penn State in 2016, even though Penn State won the Big Ten championship and beat Ohio State in 2017. Ohio State, yes, they got blown out by Iowa, but they won the Big Ten championship. Alabama lost to Auburn. They didn't even play in a conference championship. So it's like, how do you have all these criterias that you listed and you don't follow it. You just think, okay, this team is better than this. We think this team's better than this team, so we're going to put them in. So even if they expand the playoffs, they're going to do that, which is going to screw a lot of group of five, which is going to screw a lot of new non-group of five power teams to getting in. So even if they expand it, I do believe that if they do expand it, they go back to the BCS formula. Go back to just having the computer decide who's going to get in. Don't just don't just expand it and then have people decide who's going to get in, because we're gonna be in the same mess like we're in right now. Like, if you're going to expand the playoffs, have the computers, or for once in your lives, follow the criteria that you made years ago. I think like Owen, it sounds good on paper, but here's the problem. With the playoff committee deciding who the three best teams really are going to be, what about the non-group of five power? What about the non-group of five power teams? They're screwed. It's like they're screwed because if we have another situation where we have an undefeated Coastal Carolina, or we have an undefeated Boise State, or undefeated UCF, what about those teams? And it's just going to cause a bunch of uproar and panic, and we're going to have claimed national championships, and we're going to go right back to, should we expand it to 16 teams now? I think that's a problem with college football, though, is that you have the clear cut favorites in college. You have the clear cut favorites, and then there's just everybody else. Like, you have Alabama, you have Oklahoma, you have Georgia, you have Clemson, you have Ohio State. Like, you have the clear cut contenders, and then there's everybody else, because they don't really play well on a consistent basis. They don't play well yearly on a consistent basis. So it's the same 5, 6, 7, 8 teams that we talk about every single year as a contender. So that's why I think we should just go back. I think that's why we should go to the computers, because if we actually have a criteria and we let the computer kind of decide for us, yes, we're gonna have yes, we're gonna have situations where we're not gonna like it, but at least we're not gonna at least we didn't have the people decide, where they didn't just follow the damn criteria. Yeah, man. Thank you so much for stopping by. Then thank you so much, and definitely appreciate the sub. They do. They get hundreds of millions of dollars of athletic funding. It's actually kind of crazy. Appreciate that, the bet. Yeah, I've been streaming for more than 3 hours. My lord, you guys kept me up, man. I was only supposed to stream for like an hour. You guys kept me up. Oh, I see some type of chaos in the chat. Yeah, man, it's been one hell of a season, Crimson. It's been one hell of a season. One hell of a season, man. No matter what happens on Monday, oh, you know what? I'm just gonna let me stop right there because I know it. Like, if I'm gonna knock on wood for this, if we ever if we got blown out by Ohio State, I'm not gonna lie to you, I would be super pissed off if we got blown out by Ohio State, man. But yeah, we've had one hell of a season, man. One hell of a season. And not just Alabama, everybody else. Like, this has been one hell of a year. 2020 was one hell of a year. You had so much crap that happened, at least for college football this year, man. You had all conference alignments. You had conferences canceling out and then entering back in, and then only playing 5 and 6 games a year. It's been a crazy ride, man. Crazy ride this year. Okay, I got you. I got you. All right, so I should just do it now. All right, so I just did that. All right, guys. So before I get off of here, does anybody want to? Does anybody want to be a mod? I'm gonna give some. I'm just giving away some wrenches. Does anybody want to be a mod before I log up out of here? Just let me know. And I'll just make you a mod. Okay. So I got bet. Look at you, Iceberg, just spamming up the thing. What is a mod? You pretty much you have authority to pretty much ban people that just kind of just act up. You have some power. You just have a little power in the live chat. Yeah, you can just block spammers and if anyone that just makes any ignorant comments and stuff like that. Let me just go out because I know a lot of you guys just comment at me. Yeah, anyone that just make like ignorant comments or stuff that I just don't like, I can tell you guys to block them or I can just do it myself. But it would be easy. Okay, so I just added a lot of you guys. Let me see. Make sure I didn't miss any. Appreciate that, Owen. Oh, Jesus Christ. Listen, don't abuse. I gave you the power, man. Don't abuse it. Jesus Christ. It's so much power. See, look, this is what I just did. I shouldn't. This is exactly what I just did, man. I gave so much people so much unlimited power. My God. Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah, I'm not gonna mod everybody. This was just a one-time thing. This was literally just a one-time thing. But thankfully, I'm God when it comes to this live stream. So we fixing it. No, I'm joking. I'm gonna have to. There is so much fight. It's so much fun. But you know what? At the end of the day, I'm not gonna lie. This is kind of what I want. It's so much chaos. I love it. It's so much chaos in this damn chat. Yeah, ban. All right. Let's chill out with the banning, though, people. Let's chill out with the banning. I say we're having friendly fire. All right, Matt. If they gave it all like it is what it is. Ain't gonna bother me that much. At the end of the day, it still fits the algorithm. But anyway, guys, I'm gonna call it for today. Thank you guys so much for the live stream. Like I said, I know I give a lot of you guys power, and a lot of you guys are abusing the crap out of it. But fuck it, it is what it is. I'll probably be doing the exact same thing if I was a moderator. But thank you guys so much for viewing the live stream, man. I appreciate everything you guys uh have done for me. Again, you guys have 3 hours and 25 minutes. You guys didn't need to be here, and you guys did it. So thank you guys so much for stopping by the live stream, and we will be back. So I'll be back again tomorrow. So hopefully you guys will stop by and enjoy again then. So thank you guys so much. Anyway, Jan 76 again, Jan Sports. I'm out. Peace.